feel like we've kind of gotten into this, so we should probably
Yeah, dude.
we should probably start the video. Hey everybody, this is my friend Donovan. Donovan works with me, and Donovan is also he's going to be starting a YouTube channel doing hunting videos. And are you going to be camping videos as well? Like,
doing what, sorry?
Are you going to do camping videos again?
Yeah,
That's
I'm gonna do. Yeah, and I do have some up there from before still too, and I'll probably transfer them over. But yeah, I did some videos before where we were doing into lakes that were unnamed and stuff. I'd go backpacking the lakes that were unnamed just to check if there's fish in there and go camping in them and stuff. Yeah, that's kind of like my forte. I like going into not established campground areas.
Nice.
Yeah, going as far as you can into the backwoods, and so I'll be doing that and posting some more hunting videos and stuff. Like doing archery mostly. Yeah. So
that's really cool.
Yeah, I'll be doing a lot of archery videos this year. Yeah. Hopefully, we're posting some soon here. Hopefully, a compilation.
Nice. Of
this year's hunts so far.
Sweet.
So, yeah, that's what's going to be happening on mine here soon, anyways.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he doesn't actually. You haven't named your channel yet, though, right?
No, I haven't named her yet. I got all the videos all stored up, and I'm going to. I got my channel. I got like my account and everything all set up, but I'm going to kind of wait. I'm kind of still pondering around a name. Yeah,
that's fair.
A good name, a good catchy name.
It's hard to come up with a good name.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
you want to have somebody hasn't done.
That's the thing. I did type in a few names already, right? And then they're all done, and then it's like, they'll say you got that name, then you go look at it, and it's like 0156 at the end of it or something because somebody else already has it. Yeah. So
I remember when I was starting this. When I was starting the Good Man Initiative, I wanted to call it the Good Man Project. Yeah. And then I looked, and there was actually I did a search on the Good Man Project, and there was actually these other guys had done something called the Good Man Project, but it was like a really liberal, this is how to be a feminine man in our society today. And I was
the exact opposite.
I was like, I cannot have my name even close to associated with that. Right?
No, man, that's the exact opposite of what we're
which kind of sucks because it rolls off the tongue a lot nicer.
Yeah, but yours is good though too, man. Yeah, it stands out.
Yeah.
Oh, I like yours, man.
Yeah, I think it's working out okay.
Yeah.
So so he's going to be doing hunting videos, like I said, and camping videos, like way out in the bush. As soon as he gets it named, and as soon as I have a link, I'll be putting it up on my Facebook page, and I'll be promoting him. Maybe we could even like head out and
do a joint video in the bush, man, for a hunt. That'd be awesome, dude.
That would be cool.
Yeah, that'd be great, man. Because elk season's over here on the 20th. Yeah. But you can hunt with a bow. You can hunt deer right through Christmas here.
Yeah.
So that'd be cool to get out in the winter time too. Really cool. We could do an archery hunt out there.
I should get a bow. I've never bow hunted.
Oh man,
seems like it would be a lot of fun.
Dude, it is something else, man. I'm telling you. For me, it's like because I've done both now. I've hunted with rifle and I've hunted with bow.
Yeah.
If you're talking fair chase, it's like bow hunting, man, puts you on a level playing field. Like today, I could have had those elk if I had a rifle.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Would have had them 20 times.
Mm-hmm.
I could have had an elk a few days ago with the rifle too. I ran to do another nice one.
Nice.
But you got to get within ethical shooting distance for me. Like I was out at the range today. I was pelting 70 yards consistently with like a hard shot. Yeah. But when you're out in the wild, shooting at 70 yards is pretty risky because it takes one step forward, one step back.
Yeah.
You could be having a missed opportunity or an injured animal that you don't really want, right? So for me, like 50 yards is a fair distance that I'd be shooting. So you got to get within 50 yards of an animal who spends its entire life on edge because it's trying to avoid predators, right? So it's something else. It's not, with a rifle, I've got a lot of animals. I haven't got an elk with my bow yet. I really want to since moving up here. I have back home when I came from Fox, it was more rifle hunting. I did a lot more rifle hunting back there. I would still do my bow hunting throughout the beginning of the year, but since moving down here, I've really got into bow hunting again. And since they have designated bow hunting areas down here, which they don't have down there, it makes it a lot better. There's so much pressure on the animals in rifle hunting, and just danger in general, man. People are freaking cowboys.
Oh, for sure.
Driving around, shooting rifles, drinking beer while they're driving. The amount of beer cans a guy finds on the side of the road in crazy areas. Yeah, you're driving up switchback, you're hiking up switchbacks in the mountains, and they're just beer cans. Yeah. Like, it's disgusting, for one.
For sure.
And it's like those people are out there driving, ready to shoot, and they're half cut, you know what I mean? And they're driving on these steep hills, like, it's complete nonsense. Yeah. So I've really started wearing the hunter's orange here when I've been in the rifle zones too.
It's not a bad idea.
Because I never really wore it back in Fox. Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't the same. It wasn't this. There was a lot of people hunting. Yeah. But it was different areas too. Like here, when you're climbing up a mountainside, you think like, hey, I'm kind of like way up on my own here, but there could be people way down in the valley that are going to spot you from up there and take a pot shot at you or something, you know.
Oh yeah.
When you're in thick timber, like around Fox Creek, you don't really got to worry about that as much. So I didn't have to wear the orange. So that's something that's new here. I'm definitely a lot more aware. Yeah, that I don't want to get shot.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think one of the problems we have with our area too is we have too much tourism hunting.
Yeah.
Right, and I think I think tourism hunting is a bunch of guys coming out and they're basically partying for a week and they're out there hunting, they're drinking. I have issues with that.
Oh, me too.
You know?
With the name like Elk Valley too, where we're from, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just the fact that elk's in the name.
Yeah.
You're getting a ton of people up here that are, you know, typically not. I'm sure there's a bunch of good people too, you know.
Oh yeah.
But a lot of people that are just who's coming down.
Yeah.
You know, and what I've heard, unfortunately, from a lot of people is they've heard of a lot, like, because here it's 6 point or bigger for elk.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that say that a lot of people come down here and they shoot first, ask questions, they'll check it out later. Yeah. So there's a lot of people that are shooting elk that aren't legal. They'll go up. I actually heard a number like last year or something, there was in the 70s amount of elk that were found that were reported to Fish and Game that were 5x5 or smaller. Oh. That's that somebody had shot and left there.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. Yeah. You know? And that's only the ones that are found, Nate.
Yeah. Oh, I hear you.
You know, if you actually think of the real number, and it's not just here. Back when I was in Fox Creek too, hunting there, I actually came upon one time, I was hunting on this road, bow hunting, and I was coming out, it was pretty close to town, actually. So I was walking back, and this guy who owned a cab company there comes down, and he's in his cab with his rifle in the cab. Yeah. Yeah, like, ridiculous. Yeah. And I'm like, he sees me, asks me what's going on. He's like, oh, you after that big buck in here too? I'm like, yeah, I got him on my trail cams and stuff. You know, I've been hunting him. And he's like, oh yeah, crazy. Yeah, me too. I've seen him in here. The very next day, I go out there and I see the ravens flying in the trees right beside the road. Oh. And I'm like, what the hell? So I go over there, check it out. There's a nice 4x4 whitetail. He's not the big one that we were looking for. Yeah. But I find this 4x4 whitetail sitting there, full body, not anything done to it. Like just shot left there. So I called the Fish and Wildlife. This was on like the third or fourth day of the season. The season had just started. I've been trail cammering this thing for like all summer long, this big buck, right? So like I knew about this buck for quite a while. And I go in there, call the fish cops. He said that at that point already, he'd already had 11 calls for deer and animals that he found that were shot and left there. That was like a few days into the season.
Crazy.
So there's these people out there that do that, right? And it's like, those are the anti-hunters to me. Like that's what people complain about.
For sure.
And I understand that, man. Like we only have a certain population of animals that we can sustainably hunt. Yeah. You know, if we start whacking them all off, they're, you know, way too many. We're not going to have that for our children to go hunt, you know? And that's been a problem too with the fishing and everything else I've noticed over the years, like not just here, but in Canada in general. Yeah. I've heard lots of stories about down in Ontario here right now, people are illegally netting fish and stuff that are coming in and going, you know, taking a whole bunch of fish and going home, and people are trying to confront them about it and nothing happens. Yeah. But it's definitely a concerning part about it, because that's one of the last freedoms we have. I feel like as Canadians, man, our government's tried to take a lot of things from us already. There's been a lot of guns that have been made illegal. Yeah. And I think really what they want to do is make hunting illegal too. I
think so. I can agree with that.
I think that's probably one of their end games. Yeah. So that, because I feel like too, one of the biggest things, if you control the food, you control the population too. So it's like right now, you make food inaccessible for people to buy almost, so that they have to work nonstop. They can't really complain. They don't have time to think about much else besides living day to day. And that's kind of where we are right now, honestly. Like I make pretty decent money, but I have a family of 5 that I'm supporting, and it's insane. Buying groceries is like, I wish that buying groceries was like a thing. You go to the grocery store and it's like, yeah, let's go pick out some food at the grocery store. Yeah. Instead of going there and wanting to cry. Yeah. When you go, because it's like, we need this, but like I can't afford to buy this. Like talking broccoli, stuff that's like vegetables that should be relatively inexpensive, you know, and it's like and they're perishable items. Or meat, man. Meat is like completely ridiculous. That's why like this year we grew our own garden. Yeah. Here that helped a lot for like basics. Next year we're gonna get a few more boxes, but and then the elk, man. Like if a guy gets an elk and you butcher it yourself, you do all your own thing. That's what I like to do too. You're not benefiting, like cost wise, you're not benefiting yourself a whole bunch if you shoot an elk and then you go bring it to a butcher.
Yeah.
Because it costs a lot of money to go to a butcher.
Yeah.
You know, and it is good to learn how to do it yourself.
Oh, for sure.
You know,
100%.
Yeah. If it ever hits the fan, and you know, you need to be supplying your family food, it's really good to know what cuts and how to do it and all that. So
I kind of feel like a lot of butchers now too, like when you bring an animal to them, a lot of them. I'm not saying that everyone will do this unscrupulously, but I think a lot of butchers will actually just take your meat and mix it in with whatever else they have, and you get back kind of what they think you should get.
I have heard that lots. Yeah, I've heard that too, man. Where people were certain that it wasn't their animal, right? That they've got back and stuff. Yeah. I actually watched a video the other day of a guy who went to go pick up his deer from a taxidermist, and it was the wrong deer. And they're like, "What do you?" He's like, "That's not my deer." And he's like, "Yeah, it's your deer." And he's like, "No, it is not." And he's like, "Well, look at the name on the back, because that's how, you know, I always put the names on the back." He's like, "I don't need to look at the name on the back. Mine had a big broken tine. This has no broken tines. Like, this is not my deer."
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know what happened. So it's like, how does that happen?
Yeah,
you know?
that's crazy.
So yeah, if you can learn how to do that, which I've never done the taxidermy part too, that's a whole other thing in its own. But at least doing the butchering, you know, you're getting your own animal, you know, you're getting your meat. Yeah. You know, so I did my last 2 elk that I've got, I did completely on my own, 100% on my own. Did all the butchering, all the cutting, all the meat, like all the packaging, the whole nines, right? Yeah. So, and what I'm going to do with mine this year to make it a little bit more that I haven't done in the past is I'm going to learn how to do the smoke the pepperoni and do all that myself, because I really like kubasa and stuff like that. So you can eat raw, but I haven't ever made it on my own yet. Yeah. So that's the really expensive stuff too. If you're going to go to a butcher and get any of that made, for sure, that's when you're paying a ton of money, or jerky or anything like that. So like the smoked stuff, I'm going to do more of that this year. I have made breakfast sausages, and I love breakfast sausages. Yeah. So I'll make all that my own self. I've done that in the past, which saves you a ton of money too. Yeah. Because all that's expensive, man. Even ground beef right now is completely insane.
It's insane out there.
And you can get so much ground beef out of an animal, man, out of an elk or a deer, you know. And it's like you're saving yourself a ton of money, man. I actually had a friend of mine who lives in the city. I was just telling him the other day. I sent him a video of where I was out hunting, and I had a bunch of bear crap. Twice the size of my foot. It was an absolute huge pile, right? And I was like, yeah, look at the size of this pile of bear crap, man. I was like, I'm out here bow hunting. And he just couldn't fathom what I was doing, right? He was like, what do you mean, man? He's like, I'm actually concerned about you. Like, is there something wrong with you? Like seriously, like, tell me, like, are you okay? And I'm like, what are you talking about, man? I was like, man, this is what I love most. One of the most important things in my life is being in the outdoors and having access to that. I was like, because being able to provide for your family is huge, man. And if we lose that, we're at a scary point in our lives, man.
Well, that's massive for sure.
Like, and they don't understand it. And he's not even a meat eater. Or sorry, he's not a vegetarian. He's a meat eater. Yeah. Right. But he'll often like quip, "Oh yeah, big tough guy gonna go out and shoot a deer." I'm like, man, you're eating burgers. Like that poor animal, that poor cow. Most of them that we're buying from the stores, you know, let's be real. Most of them aren't coming from grass-fed farms. No. They've had terrible lives. You know, where they've been force-fed corn and all this other stuff that they're not supposed to be eating, and just so they can get fatter. You know,
corn, steroids,
all of it.
There's a bunch of stuff going into our.
It's terrible, man. Yeah,
industrial meat.
Yeah, and they don't comprehend that that's a living animal too, guys. Yeah, that's not, and that animal, in my opinion, is getting tortured. Yeah, its whole life, and they're standing knee deep in crap in a tiny little pen its whole life. Yeah, there's no retirement home for animals in the wild, unfortunately, guys. If a bull elk is gonna die, it's gonna die by getting eaten by wolves, getting eaten by a bear, freezing to death, falling off a cliff. You know, it's like that's how they die. So for a hunter to go out, shoot an ethical, clean shot where it kills that animal, and it's because I like to let an animal live too. I do agree with not shooting young spikes and stuff like that. Sure. Yeah. I like the animal to pass its genes on, you know, get to live a life too. Yeah. And then at the end, when it's close to the end of its life, you know, it gets taken out by a hunter. That is the most, you know, it still sucks, but that's the easiest way that animal's going to die. Yeah. And try and explain that to some people.
I think if you look at the way that most animals die, especially when they get older or sick, they're going to be taken down by a bigger predator. Right? Yeah. And that is not going to be a good death.
No, man. Not
at all. That's going to be painful.
It's terrible.
Horrible.
Terrible.
They're going to get torn apart while they're still alive. Yeah. I mean, that is not going to be good. No. I think an ethical shot and putting that animal down is probably the best death it's ever going to get.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Man. Right. Yeah. And you'll tell that to people, right? Well, they're like, we'll just go get it from the store. Guys, that animal was alive too. Do you think that it just was born and these things, steaks fell from the sky into styrofoam and plastic? Like that's not how it works, man. Yeah, this was an actual animal that had a terrible life. Or you can go out and get an animal that's way healthier for you. You know, provide for your family, and it hasn't been tortured its whole life. You know,
it's led a good life.
Yeah, it's led a really good life. You know,
it's been wild. It's been free. It's been
it's bred. Had got to pass on its genes. You know, so I don't know. It's hard sometimes because I'm like really good friends with a couple of people that are like this from the city, and they don't really get it. You know, they just think, you know, big tough guy out there shooting a deer, but. I think that if they ever came out and were put in the position too they understand, like there's a lot of times I've been out actually, Nate, where I haven't killed something where I could have. Because for me, especially since I had kids actually, after I had kids, it takes me a lot to pull the trigger now or shoot the bow at an animal, because I do think about, it's a life you're taking, man. It's no joke, you know, it's a real serious thing. So for me, it's like really crucial. It needs to be the right moment. I need to be feeling it in me. I need to know I have the perfect shot lined up, and know that like this animal's gonna go down. It's gonna be quick. I'm not gonna be injuring him or hurting anything, you know. So, and just for my own, like I said, sometimes, man, I've been out where it's just been in a beautiful setting, and I've seen like a buck. And I've just let him walk. Because it's like, this is just an awesome moment, man. It was too nice. It was too nice, man. It was an awesome moment that I was like, man, I was just in the moment, and I was like, dang, like, that was pretty sweet, you know? But, and I was telling this before to my buddies, and they didn't understand it. And like, what do you mean? Like, they were almost calling me a puss over it, you know? Because I wasn't shooting it, too, because there's that, too, you know? Or other friends, like, but one of my friends, actually, his dad passed away recently, and he hasn't really been the same hunting since then. He said he's like, I completely get what you were saying now. He's like, because he doesn't have children, so this is like, he thinks about that now, about how his loss with his dad, about how other animals are feeling if they lose somebody, kind of like that's a thing, right? And the difference is too is like animals, they're not really like humans. They breed, the mom stays with them for the first year, you know, and then they're kind of gone, and they never see each other again. And father and son will end up fighting each other later on after the same winter, you know. So it's like, it's a little different, but for sure, that's exactly how I felt too. Like it's with the kids and stuff, it's the same way. I'm like, man, that's a life. Some other animal has a relationship with that animal, and you know, you're gonna kill it, and it's a weird thing to think about, but it is real, you know. But I think that still, after all that being said and done, being an ethical hunter, being able to provide for your family, like we just said, that animal's not going to have an easy out, no matter how it goes in life. It's not going to be easy, you know? So I do think that hunting is super important for controlling the population and for feeding people's family. And unfortunately, it's not possible for everybody. If everybody went out today and tried to shoot an animal, we would run out of animals. We'd be out of animals real quick, you know?
And we'd probably have a whole bunch of dead people out there too.
We would, man, for sure. Yeah, it's tough. And another thing too that I think is a problem too with hunting, man, is that we've made it with oil and gas exploration and mining exploration and logging and all that stuff. There's so many roads everywhere now that it is so easy for somebody with a rifle to drive everywhere now and go hunt, man. I think personally that roads should either have like way more roads anyway, should at least have gates on them where non-motorized vehicles, you have to walk in there, or horseback or whatever, you know, but you cannot drive a truck in or quad in or anything like that, because it makes it way too accessible. And I think that also brings down the numbers of animals too, because honestly, if you did that with today, like you're ruling out 95% of the hunters out there. Like a lot of people call themselves hunters,
and they just drive around.
They drive around and drink beer and shoot stuff from the truck, right? And that's not right in my book. I have done that in the past where I've been driving around with people, and it's like, what are we doing, guys? Are we getting out to go hunting? They're like, oh, we're hunting right now. Like, are we?
I know, right? Like, growing up with my dad, it was funny. My dad always used to talk about people who, I mean, I'm young, right? Like, I'm like 12, 13 years old. And my dad we'd see people driving around in their trucks, and we'd be out walking, and my dad would be like, don't ever, that's not how you hunt. That's not a real hunter. That's a guy out for a drive.
That's right, man. Totally true, though.
We would walk, and we would get in the bush and, you know, get up to places where nobody had been. It was it was so cool. You know, those are some of my favorite memories from living with my dad when I was young.
I bet, man.
You know,
those are the ones that stand out.
Yeah,
for sure, man. Those stands out for me too.
Yeah.
Me and my dad talk often about our hunting trips back when I was growing up.
Yeah.
That was some of our favorite moments together, man. He was with me when I got my first deer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like that kind of stuff sticks with you too.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. You know, so, and that's a great thing, I think, for fathers and sons, fathers and daughters, even to get into, to go out for. It's hard to find stuff to bond with your kids later on when you get older.
Yeah.
I got one daughter who's about to be 18 and my kid's 16, and I got a young one who's 7.
Mm-hmm.
So for that, it's hard to find stuff sometimes to bond with. They want to go out and hang out with their friends and stuff like that, right? But hunting is one thing. Like my son just got into it this year, so I went out and started shooting the rifle with him. He got his hunter's head and stuff, cool. And he's going to come out and I actually just gave him my bow. I just got a new bow, so I gave him my old one. So I'm going to get him into bow hunting and stuff too. And get him out, and that's something that hopefully we can share too, so he can talk about that later on with his friends and stuff, right? Because I know that's something that I talk about with my friends a lot. Was hunting with my dad, and
oh, for sure.
Yeah, that was pretty important to me.
Yeah. And I think it's huge, right? That I look at going back to what you were saying about how you feel the life that you're taking when you put an animal down. And I look at my dad. My dad was a hunter his whole life. His birthday was on the first day of hunting season, December.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, or September 1st. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was so that was his birthday, and every year we'd never see him on his birthday. he was up at 5 a.m. Yeah, and he was gone. Generally I'd be going to school or whatever, and he was gone.
Yeah,
we didn't see him that day.
No,
and that was his big thing. His first day, his birthday, he was going hunting.
Yeah, that's his own birthday present himself.
he was out hunting all the time. He just set up a camper out up the shoe fly at Morrissey there. All the time. And I used to love going out there, just being in the camper, and we'd go out and we'd do our hunts, and we'd come back and we'd sit around the fire.
Yeah, so you guys would go on overnighters out there?
Oh yeah, well, he would go on. He'd leave his camper out there for pretty much all the hunting season.
Yeah,
and just every moment he had, we would go out there.
Yeah, that's special, man. Too having overnighters too, man, with your old man.
For sure.
Yeah, that's something you take back with you and remember that. Even the times you don't get animals. Right? It's just
a time you get to spend.
That's right, man. Time you get to spend with them.
There's so much time that you spend, especially with your father, that's spent doing stuff that has nothing to do with either one of you.
Yeah.
So if you can get out there and share that, that's something to pull with you for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that is what sticks. That's why it sticks with you. Yeah, because it is something that you're doing for yourselves together. Yeah. It's not like you're at the house doing something for somebody else. You're doing it for yourselves, so it sticks with you a lot more. Yeah, no, that's a good point.
I think about like my dad. He's 87 years old now.
Yeah.
And we talked about it. And I asked him if he missed going hunting, because he can't get out in the bush anymore. It's not possible. And I asked him if he missed, and he said, I don't even think I could pull the trigger anymore.
Yeah.
He said, I think if there was an animal in my sights, I would feel it too much.
Yeah.
And I just wouldn't be able to put that animal down.
Yeah, there you go, man. Yeah, because he's thinking about it in the way I was talking about just now, right? Yeah. It's like, it's a real deal thing.
It's a real
It's
deal
not
thing.
something to take lightly.
No,
at
for
all.
sure.
And that's something that I've actually been telling my son about, because he went out to the range with me the one time there and wanted to go, and I brought him out.
Yeah.
But I said, I'd like to take you out a few more times before you actually go and put your sights on an animal. Because he's like, well, I was hitting the target. I was like, you did a great job too.
Yeah.
But you need to be confident in the moment, because you're going to be, your heart's going to be racing. And we want to make sure that you're taking an ethical shot on the animal. The animal's going to have a quick death.
It's a different thing, right?
It's totally different, man. Even being an experienced hunter, man. Having buck fever is a real deal thing. Mm-hmm. People get nervous, they get shaky, and they miss from close shots sometimes even too, and you can miss, right? It's like, it's crazy sometimes what happens when because a lot of time, like me, it's been, what's hunting season been already a month and a half. Mm-hmm. I've been out, my schedule's 4 and 4, so I've been out almost every day off. Yeah. Hunting basically from dark I go out in the morning, come back for lunchtime, and I'll go out in the evenings again, right? Yeah. But it's like all that time you're spending, it comes down to one moment where it all comes together for you. And it's a lot of pressure on yourself just to I got to make this shot happen. I got to do this. So yeah, some people just can't handle it, right? They'll just start shaking like a leaf. You're looking at them and they're like, it's just like, okay, calm down, take a breath, settle down, So it's very important, I think, to practice when you can. I went out to the archery range today and shot probably 70, 80 arrows. Yeah. And I'm a pretty good shot with the bow, but it's like, I like keeping on it, because all of a sudden you go out there and you haven't shot for a couple of weeks, and you never know.
Yeah. You lose practice, you lose muscle memory.
That's right. Yeah, you want it to be like second nature to you.
Yeah, for sure. Every year you hear of people out in the woods that accidentally shoot somebody else or accidentally shoot somebody's truck.
Yeah, that's a real good example of buck fever.
Yeah. I remember. I remember. I heard this joke when I was very young, and this. I guess I'll tell it. I kind of like it. This guy takes his wife out hunting, right? And they're coming up to this field. He's like, "Well, I'll go around this side. You go around that side, and we'll see if we can run anything out to each other." She's like, "Okay, sure, let's do it." So he goes around his side. He goes around her side, and all of a sudden he hears a shot. Right? He's like, "Oh, she must have found something." So he starts walking towards her, and then he starts hearing some yelling. Like a guy yelling and her yelling, and he's like, "Oh, something's wrong." So he runs through there. He breaks into this opening, and there she is, and she's pointing her gun at this guy, and he's yelling at her. He's like, "You're wrong," and she says that, and you know, so I ask her, I'm like, "Honey, what's going on?" And he says, "I shot this elk, and this guy's trying to say it's his." And the guy's like, "It is mine." And she's like, "No, it's not. It's mine. I shot it fair and square." And he said, All right. Listen, honey, okay? You can have it. It's yours. You shot it. It's a fair kill. Just let me take my saddle off it.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, man. That's pretty much a real story, though, unfortunately.
It is.
You know, I actually heard a story back when I was in high school, or I think I actually read it in like a big buck hunting magazine or something, but it's unbelievable to me that it even happened.
Yeah.
But this shows you like how when you've been going out so long, you just see something and everything you see is a buck or a bull elk, and it's like a guy had shot an elk and he was on a quad. He had the elk rack on the front of the quad, and they were driving him and a buddy on the quad through a field, and they both got killed. Oh. Yeah, shot right through one of them into the other one, and they both died. Yeah. And it's like, crazy story too, even when I was a guy who used to live around our area and around Fox Creek there, I don't know exactly, I don't remember the guy's name, I wouldn't even tell it anyways, but they were out chicken hunting with his wife. Him and his wife were out chicken hunting, and he had a 22. Yeah. And he was leaned over the roof of the car shooting at a chicken over the passenger side. Yeah. And his wife had got out right when he was pulling the trigger, and he ended up killing him. Oh. Shot his wife. Yeah. So, pretty terrible. Yeah, like gun safety is super, super important, man. Super important. And I think that after you've taken your hunter's ed, everybody feels like they're safe. Yeah. You know, so that they don't put as much emphasis on it almost as like, it's got to be something that you take into your day-to-day activities every time. Yeah, speaking about gun safety though too, I don't even like telling this story a lot of times, but might as well out myself for a bad experience I had when I was a kid too. My very first deer I ever shot at, 30-30 bolt action rifle with my dad. Mm-hmm. I was out, shot at this buck, thought that I hit it, and he's like, "Yeah, let's go. We'll go check it out." Right, we go wander in the bush, look after, see if we can find any blood or anything. Mm-hmm. Couldn't find any blood, and we go back to the truck. We're driving home, and I had my gun on my boot, with like the muzzle pointing on my boot. Yeah. And we hit this bump going up the hill into town. We were like still a couple kilometers out of town on the gravel road, but hit this bump. The gun fell off my boot, and my finger was like right by the trigger guard and went into the trigger guard. Fell down. Boom! No way. I didn't even realize, dude. Yeah. My very first time I ever shot at a deer, right? I was so jacked up with adrenaline and excited that I didn't even realize I had loaded another bullet in the gun after. Oh. And like my dad, unfortunately, this is the second time it's happened to him in his life. A guy did it when he was a kid, too, and blew out the front tire in his car when he was a kid. Like, I shot off the side of my boot, the rubber part that sticks out. No way. Dude, you can see the bullet went through it, right? Like, I almost blew my foot off, man. My dad freaked out, right? Yeah. Clearly, understandably so. But then he came in afterwards and he apologized because he's like, "You know what? I should have been checking your gun. Yeah. Like, I don't know what I was thinking. You know, it was your first time ever shooting at a deer and I didn't check your gun." Yeah. And that's one thing ever since that time, man. I talked with my hunting partners before I go into the vehicle. Are you clear? Yeah. Your weapon clear? Yeah. Right? And I'll show them mine. My gun's clear, you know? For sure. And we'll go in there together. And even when I'm going out with somebody, like today I was out with a friend, I asked him, like, "Is your gun loaded?" Yeah. You know? He's like, "No, it's empty." Okay. Yeah. Before we even go for a walk, right?
I think that's great.
Yeah, and my first time going out with hunting somebody, I'll tell them my whole strategy. Listen, I never chamber around until I'm pointed at the animal, ready to go. I never have one in there, just so you know. If you're walking behind me or whatever, I don't have a bullet in my gun. Some people do. Some people chamber around the second they get out of their truck and they'll put their safety on.
Yeah.
I'm
not a fan.
No, I don't advise that at all, man. In fact, one time when I was walking, when I used to live on the farm, we had a bunch of bears. I had like a bunch of trail cameras set up. I had like 6 different bears. One was an absolute giant bear.
Yeah.
And I was bringing the kids out to go explore the farm. We had like 100 acres of woods. So we were out traipsing around in the bush and stuff, and I knew we were going past where this bear was, so I was like, you know what, I'm actually going to throw a round in the chamber, just in case, because we were going through thick bush, and I was like, I might not have time to load one, and mine was a thumb safety on my rifle. You just pull it back, and it has a really short barrel too, so I'm like hanging it, it's like right by my head, and I pull off for a stop, and I let's pull over, we'll stop in the bush here, guys, we'll make a little sandwich, right, and I pull my gun off, and the safety's off.
No way.
Dude. Like, it must have hit a branch, hit the safety. Very easily could have caught the trigger, too, because we're going through this thick bush. And, like, reinstated in my head, like, that's why you never put a bullet in your gun. Yeah. Something happens sometimes, man. That thing, like, the safety was on. Mm-hmm. But it's not impossible for the safety to get switched off, too, man. So it's like, that just reinstated firmly in my mind. Like, and I never did it before then, right? Like, I was always super adamant. The one time that I did put a bullet in there, the safety comes off, man. And it's like, I don't even like thinking about it, right? I was with my 2 young kids in the bush. Yeah. It could have been absolutely terrible. Mm-hmm. I could have fucking really hurt myself. Yeah. And they would have to see all that. So it's like, oh man. So I never have a bullet in my gun anymore. And I think that's kind of why I've gravitated more towards bow hunting too. Yeah. It's like, I'm a gun advocate, 100%. Like, I think our government has completely screwed us over by taking away our rights to defend ourselves, because it's not just about hunting, in my opinion, too. That's not why we're allowed to have semi-auto guns and stuff. That's what everybody always talks about. Yeah. Like, you don't need a deer to shoot. You don't need a semi-auto weapon to shoot a deer. Like, you're right, you don't. Mm-hmm. But it would be nice if you're having to use it in home defense, or if you do end up having a tyrannical government decides to take you over. That's kind of, we don't have the same laws as the States has. Yeah. When it comes to that, like, but that, in my opinion, is like, that's why these guns were there before. It's like, so people can protect themselves from anything.
And I think that people should have the right to defend themselves.
I agree 100%, and I'm not saying there's crazy people out there, okay? Yeah. But why is it now that it's such a big problem? When our parents were younger, my dad talks about all the time, they used to go to school with their hunting rifles in their cars, in their trucks.
Yeah, in the window.
Yeah, in the window. They had hunting racks on their back window, dude. Yeah. And they never, ever had school shootings.
Never had problems. No.
So, like, that they try to make it out as a gun problem and not a mental health problem is insane to me, man.
I would say that by far the worst problem is not people having the availability to get weapons, but the problem of not building our children strong enough to handle the rigors of life.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, dude.
Life is hard.
It is, man.
Right? And when we've taken away, especially for boys coming up, like when we've taken away their ability to have enough strength to make it through their life.
Yeah.
Like, what do we
mental and physical.
Both.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I agree, man. This is what happens. You get a bunch of soft people who completely don't know how to control their emotions. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Somebody says something wrong to them and they go shoot up a school. Yeah. It's horrifying.
It is.
Horrifying. And what do our therapists and people like that tell them, he had problems here, if he would have been talked to and nurtured a little more and stuff. Sometimes it ain't so much about the nurturing, man.
No.
It needs to be tough love.
For sure.
You need to be telling people no. Yeah. This is how it's going to be in our household. Mm-hmm. You're going to follow the rules, or there's going to be consequences. Mm-hmm. You can't have second, third, fourth, 20, 30th, tries. Okay, no, I've told you 29 times and we're going to go for 30th. Is there anything else I can do, to make you feel comfortable for coming home at a decent time? Yeah. It's like, no, they're your kids. They're supposed to be coming home when they're told to come home. Yeah. And it starts with the basics like that, man. Like, you need to be a strong figure as just coming from a dad. Yeah. As a father figure, man. They need to be able to realize, you mean business? And not in a bad way.
Yeah.
You know, that's when people talk about the toxic masculinity. Like, it's not okay to be a man. We need men. We need
100%.
way more manly men.
Yeah.
I don't like using the word. I think you heard it from Cavino and Rich back in the day on old Sirius XM. The pussification of the planet, man. Yeah. That's what we're dealing with here. People, they cannot understand that, you know, not everything's going to go your way in life, guys.
No.
You know, you're going to have to do a lot of stuff you don't want to do.
Yeah.
And you're going to be upset about it sometimes. It is what it is. Yeah. You know, you're going to have to get up and you're going to have to go to work. Yeah. You're going to have to deal with the fact that some people don't have the same viewpoints as you.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to have to be able to have an honest discussion. Sometimes find out you're wrong about things.
Sometimes.
You know? Yeah. You know, and maybe you're going to have to reevaluate the way you look at things.
Yeah.
And that is part of growing up, man. That is part of life. And to sell people that, you know, with everything, like with the way our world is going right now, we don't know the difference between a man and a woman, eh? They're telling us that there is no difference.
You know what I always thought was weird is they say that the only person who can say what a woman is woman. And a man can decide he's a woman in a second. Yeah. So if I decide right now that I'm a woman, does that mean I get to tell everybody what a woman is?
Exactly.
It makes no sense at all. No sense at all.
No. And none of it does. Let's face it. You know? Yeah. Anybody who has a real head, I think that most people that go along with this stuff, they're just scared of being shamed. Right? Yeah. Because the people that do go along with this, they're classic victims, just professional victims, right?
Professional victims.
Yeah, they just love being a victim. They'll go on.
Have to excuse us, everybody. We probably lost about 10 minutes of video there. The video stopped recording. We were just having such a good time with our conversation that we missed a little bit.
Didn't realize.
We're not quite sure exactly what we missed because we were just having a good conversation. So we're gonna try to continue as best we can. We were talking about professional victims and kids changing their genders.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the people who are pushing that, you know, are just professional victims, and that most of the people who are aware or who are following along with this are just scared of being shamed, I feel like, man. It's like, you know, they don't, that's such a powerful thing, man. Yeah. For people to not be shamed, man, you know. Yeah. Us as men need to stand up to it and stuff, and just anybody who has any smarts at all. Because the media is trying to tell you that everybody's like this, right? That everybody agrees with this, and if you don't, you're an outcast. When really, it doesn't seem like that's the case, man. Like
no,
there's a lot of people out there that I think the vast majority of people don't want this stuff.
No.
You know, taught in schools and stuff. But like we were saying earlier, I don't know if this made it in there or not, but if later on in life, that's completely fine. You want to do what you want later on in life, you're just not going to change the biological definition, you know, like of what it is to be a biological man or a biological woman. You want to go transition, that is completely fine, but not when you're a child.
Yeah.
You know, that's where we draw the line on it. And I think that that's completely fair, man. I don't think that we should be giving that kind of stuff to kids. No. And the people that are pushing this stuff are kind of like predators, man. In my mind, it's like, you know, because they're taking advantage of these children for their own gains, whatever that is, you know. Because there's some parents who push this on their kids, and they're, you know, looking at online. Obviously, I don't know all these people, but they seem like they're off too. Something's weird going on. Yeah. And they shouldn't be allowed to be making decisions like that at such a young age that it's going to change a child for the rest of their lives, you know.
And, you know, you get somebody like, you know, especially somebody who's in power at a school or something, a teacher or a principal or something, that comes up to you and says, hey, maybe I've noticed this. Maybe you're like this. Maybe this is what you are. And, you know, that if you are this, we can help you. We can get you what you need to become what you want to be. And, you know, and you start getting this person's paying me attention.
Yeah.
You know, I feel special all of a sudden.
Exactly.
You know, kids will kids get into a van they don't know for a piece of candy. They're changing their genders for a teacher to just tell them that they're doing the right thing.
That's right, just to feel special.
Yeah. And we're pushing kids more and more. Kids should not even be thinking about gender.
No, not at all. Man.
Children should not be thinking about, you know, what sex am I? What gender am I? What's going on with gender politics out in the world?
Agreed.
Right? Kids should be worried about being kids.
Yeah, man.
Right?
Learning the very basics about what it is to be a boy or be a girl, living their life. You know what there was when we were in high school, Nate? I know in my school. Yeah. There was a lot of girls who liked guy things.
Yeah.
Guess what they were? They're tomboys.
Tomboys, yeah.
You know? And guess what they didn't do? They didn't take a bunch of drugs to change them for their entire lives. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They like biking. They like dirt biking. They like quads. They like wearing jeans and shirts and stuff, like dressing like a dude.
Yeah.
But they were chicks, man. And they were pretty cool. You know?
Oh,
there was nothing wrong with them.
Nothing wrong
with them.
with
But the people that are telling them that there's something wrong, that's where the problem lies, man. Yeah. It's telling them that, hey, I think that it's a huge mental health issue. And us to say anything other than that it's a mental health is not doing anybody any good, especially them. Yeah. You know, because it sounds like they have a lot of problems too. Like they have a really high suicide rate for people that are that have transition and before transition. You know, higher than any other demographic out there. Yeah. Which is that's pretty hard evidence, man, that there's something wrong. There's some mental health problems going on too, besides just this. Like it's not just the transition thing, because even after they transition, there's problems, man.
Oh, for sure.
You know, it's like most of them regret it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. We live in a pretty weird time, man. Like, talking about mental health too. Like, I know, like, when our parents went to high school, they had gun racks. I don't know if we already talked about that on the thing, but, you know, there was no school shootings. We got a bunch of weak people that don't understand that you're going to hear the opposite opinion sometimes in life, and that's part of it, man. That's part of growing up. You're going to hear the opposite opinion, and you need to. For debate and everything. So yeah, I think that's a big problem, man, is that we're trying to make everybody comfortable all the time.
Yeah.
You know, that's one of my biggest gripes about the world in general is convenience.
Yeah.
How everything needs to be so convenient all the time, man. It's like enough with the convenience, man. Yeah. I think that everything being less convenient, like me, I'm a standout because like I would be fine living in a cabin in the woods, candlelight, having no power, just living like we used to back in the day. I think that power, one of the best thing that's come out of electricity, even for us, man, it's not cars or any of that stuff. Medicine. Yeah. You know, medicine is great. Like we needed medicine, antibiotics, all that stuff. Like, but as far as everything else, man, in my opinion, I was like, could have been done without it. Probably, I think it's hurting us in the long run as humans. Like we're not sure we have phones and we have all this stuff, but they say that we're more connected than ever. Yeah. But people can't hold a conversation at a table.
Yeah, it's like we're actually less connected than we are.
100% we are. Like, you know, individuals, like people are willing to post their ace online and all this crazy stuff online, right? Yeah. But they can't have a face-to-face conversation with people who disagree with them. You know, like I have people in my life who are how we're talking about how people are acting like just as the majority of people who are into this, you know, because that's what the media portrays. Yeah. Is that the vast majority of people believe this stuff, and it's not true, man. Like what you guys are seeing from the media, like they're not telling us the truth, guys. People need to realize that is not the truth. We're not getting the truth from the media, and it's so hard. I have people in my life that I've heard this exact thing from before, where they said, "I don't need somebody to tell me what I believe." Well, yes, you do. Yeah. Everybody does. Yeah. You know, everybody has to hear different points of view. You have to hear different opinions because that's how you get to the truth. Yeah. You might want to believe something, but do you want to believe something that's not true? Like, if you're being sold a lie, like right now, the government will flat out tell you, you know, this wall, it's green, guys. Or, you know, it's red. Yeah. You know, can't you tell that it's red? And I'm sitting over here going, I don't know, man. Like, the thing looks blue, but I don't want to be shamed. Like, they're saying it's red, so I guess the wall's red, you know? And you're going to go tell your friends, no, the wall's red. Yeah. Didn't you fit in, right? Didn't you watch CNN? They told you it's red, guys. Like, clearly it's red. Jeez. And then you're just not willing to look into it, you know? And, like, there's lots of stuff out there. Like, I got friends who will say, too, that you're reading into conspiracy theories and all that stuff. But that's what they try to claim alternative media is, you know? Rogan's a good talking point about it because he's been doing it the longest, but you know, you can go on CNN and watch 90-second snippets from an expert talking about something where the anchor behind there doesn't ask them any real questions, cut them off all the time, never let them speak. Or you can go watch something like Rogan where they do a 3-hour in-depth conversation asking them every detail about what they're talking about and what their beliefs are. Yeah. It's like you get a way more informed opinion after watching that, you know, because you can go watch how people have a bad opinion about Jordan Peterson is unbelievable to me. Yeah, it's crazy. You know, if you actually watch what he's saying, it's like, man, he is telling you the absolute truth about everything. Absolutely. There's nothing. I've never heard him say something that's a lie or like incorrect or like maybe he says something that's incorrect, but it's like his way of speaking, man. really gets to the core of so many issues.
Yeah.
You know, he nails it down, and people aren't. They hear that that he hates gays and transgender people. He lost his license here in Canada.
He actually doesn't though.
You know, not at all.
Like it, and that's they grab onto these small little things that they can twist around.
Yeah, take it out of context.
Make a sound clip out of, right? And then you know you can edit something to make it look like somebody says anything you want.
Yeah, that's
them
right.
to say,
yeah, make them into a horrible person when they're not at all.
Yeah, or if you take Jordan Peterson has a way of talking where he'll talk about this one way of thinking and then explain another way of thinking, and they'll just show you the one.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, they do it all the time with other people too. Trump,
yeah.
That's a big one too, right? Yeah. Where they'll just take little snippets out of him, make him seem like a horrible person.
Yeah.
Man, you watch it all, he's actually a pretty good guy.
Yeah,
like,
he is, yeah.
This is what I think about Trump. People take like, oh, he's not presidential. To me, he's like a stand-up comedian, man. He doesn't have a teleprompter. He stands up there, he takes it as it comes, he'll take questions and stuff. And if you say something dumb, he'll say like, that was dumb. Yeah. You know, it's kind of funny. Because you don't really hear that from people. And another thing, he gives you pretty straight answers.
Yeah.
People aren't used to that. Yeah. And he also followed what he believed in. He did stuff that he said he was going to do. Mm-hmm. The establishment hated that.
Yeah.
You know, how they're still pushing that there's going to be World War III if he wins again. It's like people are still going to believe that. It's crazy. You go watch Charlie Kirk and all those guys are on campuses, and there's still kids that are saying that.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, he's going to bring the Armageddon, World War III. And it's like, he's already been president for a whole term, guys. Did 4 years, and the world is in a lot better shape than it was now.
And it was pretty, if I'm not mistaken, it was the only presidential term in the last, I don't even know how many years, where we were not involved in a single war.
Yeah, exactly. Didn't start any new wars.
Yeah, he got out of the ones we were in, and he didn't start any new ones.
That's right.
And we were doing better on the world stage, or America was, than they ever had.
Oh, yeah. And then you look at like what Biden did when they pulled out of Iraq, left all the helicopters, the weapons, the money. Watching that was a travesty.
Was it $70 billion worth of military equipment?
Yeah, equipment, guns, bombs, everything. You basically funded their whole army. And I think clearly that was done on purpose.
Yeah.
You know, there always needs to be an enemy.
Yeah.
You know, for the military industrial complex and stuff. Yeah. There always needs to be an enemy. So they left those weapons there so that there's a way for them to go back again in the future here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they left actual money. It was crazy. Watch, because they had money that they go bribe sheiks and stuff, right? Try to get information off them and stuff. So there's videos where they just left millions of dollars just sitting out there and stuff. So our media, they talked about that a lot? Did they grill Biden about that?
No.
Not at all, man. Didn't even bring it up at all, barely. It was like a little popcorn fart, just a whisper, and it's gone.
And you know, the only reason I even know about that is because at the time I was driving truck a lot, and I was listening to conservative podcasts on Sirius.
Oh yeah, they didn't talk about it on the news.
That's the only reason I even know about it.
Yeah.
And the really sad part of it that I don't think a lot of people realize, because they don't talk about it, and they haven't brought it up since this happened, is the amount of people we left behind.
Yeah. Yeah. Allies that were helping. You know, that were Afghanis or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And that they were helping the American military. Yeah, I watched Tim Kennedy talk about that actually too, and he's was in the military, right? Mm-hmm. Navy SEAL guy, and he was an MMA fighter. But yeah, they left a lot of people over there, man. Yeah. It's pretty sad. They got killed. They were they were on hit lists and stuff and we just left them there, man.
Yeah, killed, tortured.
Yeah, I say we're America, but we're Canada. But I mean, Our governments right now are equally ridiculous.
And I think we feel a brotherhood with the Americans.
Yeah.
You know? We live 20
Yeah, we're very close to them. Yeah, America. We're right by the border.
Yeah, so.
And what they do affects us quite a bit too, you know what I mean? But our government is hilarious. We have such a weak prime minister, Justin Trudeau, that he is pretty much he's been in power now for 9 years, and he's basically destroyed in that 9 years.
Yeah.
Taken away so many freedoms and jacked everything up for prices, the inflation. They made terrible decisions. How is it not illegal for people in government to never answer a question? That's what I'd like to know.
I don't get that either.
You know what I mean?
I don't get it.
They're supposed to be servants for the public, for the people, and they never have to answer a question, man. They can just beat around the bush. Because I've never heard him give an answer once in the whole time he's been there, man. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
You know, him as an individual, I think he's a terrible person.
Oh,
that's my opinion, man. I think that he's a complete terrible person. He's a fake feminist.
Yeah.
The whole nines, man. He was a substitute teacher who got who got forced to leave after a second semester for some inappropriate actions, apparently, with a student, you know, and then all of a sudden that's his own, and he was a part-time snowboarder.
And none of us know what happened there. We can't say for sure. Can't say for sure. One thing that is known though is the student that was involved in that signed an NDA.
Yeah.
Non-disclosure agreement. So something happened.
Yeah.
Right. We can't say what.
No.
But something did happen.
Something happened, and he's got and all of a sudden he's the one calling the shots. You know what I mean? And he's just such a phony. He just seems like the fakest person.
Yeah. He has been in blackface more than any conservative I've ever seen.
Isn't it incredible? Right? Isn't it incredible, Nate? Can you imagine if Pierre Poilievre, if it came out that he was in blackface, they would not stop talking about it.
Game over.
It'd be game over.
Yeah.
There's pictures of Justin Trudeau in blackface. Talking about the time he fired the only Indigenous woman who was the Attorney General.
Yeah.
You know, because she came out and said that there was corruption in his party.
And she wouldn't break the law for him.
Yeah, she wouldn't break the law. They called and tried to pressure her, you know, into voting for Trudeau or whatever, saying that there was no conflict of interest and stuff with the. It was with the.
It was with the WeScan. Was it the WeScan?
No, the
SNC
Lavalin.
SNC
Yeah, with the
Lavalin.
SNC Lavalin thing, you know. And that was a few years back, and people have already forgot about it now. And now it's come out that a whole bunch of his Liberal members of Congress, of the cabinet, have been donating tens of millions of dollars to their own companies, and that they haven't handed over any of the documents to the RCMP even. How is it an option?
Yeah.
How is it an option not to hand it over? And our RCMP is complicit.
The RCMP is like, hey, we need those files.
Yeah.
This is an investigation.
But you know what?
No, I don't think so.
If they were going to get information on you, Nate, do you think they'd ask you for permission?
No.
They'd take it because that's what needs to be done,
Yeah.
you know? And the fact that they're not doing it there, like, they're complicit, in my opinion, man. Like, the government, or the RCMP is basically in bed with them for that. Like, I don't really understand why. I don't get it. I don't understand. Because it's not like they're pro-police.
No.
You know?
No, they're not at all.
So it's like, what's going on there that they're just standing by? Like, because I got some friends who are police, and I love police officers. Like, I think that they have probably the hardest job, one of the hardest jobs on the planet. People are always crapping on them.
Yeah.
You know, there's a ton of videos about, you know, cops acting, doing bad things, and there is cops out there that do bad stuff, no doubt about it, man. You know,
there's people out there doing bad things.
Exactly.
Right? I think it's across the board.
It's across the board in every industry, man. You know, but unfortunately, police they have body cams on, and then they can kill people.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like sometimes they make mistakes, and there is those officers who shouldn't be there. You know what I mean? But I got a friend who's a police officer in Coquitlam. And he's told me some terrifying stories, you know, some crazy tales, man. And they see a lot of stuff, man. Before, when he was in a place, you know, they go to a lot of calls that are just traumatizing to them. They're human beings, guys. Like, you know what I mean? They got to go see a car accident, see somebody who got mauled, you know, by animals, see kids that have been hurt really bad, you know, constantly get sworn at and all day long when they're pulling over everybody for a stop, but they didn't do nothing wrong. And it's like, yeah, you did, guys. I mean, that goes back to nobody accepting responsibility for their actions and stuff. Like, how our society basically is, right? Like, you could just do whatever you want, feel like you're going to get away with it. Like, there needs to be consequences for actions starting when you're a kid, all the way through life. That needs to be taught. Like, yes, there's a certain way you need to behave. You don't behave this way, you know, when you're out in public, you know, you're swearing at people, hitting people, like these mass swarmings and stuff, where they're beating up senior citizens. Like, teenagers now are doing this, you know? 20 kids will go right out and they'll just randomly attack a person in the streets, and it's like, what is going on with our society, man? That is like so prevalent now. It happens quite often. And it's like, that stuff never happened to me. Can you imagine when you were back younger? My dad would have, if I would have been thinking it in my head, I feel like my dad would have known it and slapped the taste out of my mouth. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
That was the thing, man. I had a fear of my dad, and that's good, man.
Yeah.
As a strong man, like my dad, he put that fear in me, man. He didn't let me. Because there was a lot of times in my life, and I try telling this to my kids now too, because part of my problem too is I was soft a little bit when I first had kids, because I was like, I'm going to do things differently. You know? Turns out my dad was right most of the time.
Yeah.
If I would have done what my dad said all the time growing up, my life would be completely different, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? My life would have been so much easier. But instead, I thought I was right all the time, which everybody does. You know, you think that you're right all the time when you're a kid. That's just what it is. Kids think that they're right. Their parents don't know any better. Yeah. Then you end up learning later on in life, like, man, maybe he was right. He was onto something there, you know? Yeah. But that's what we need, is a strong male figure. We need that, and we're losing that.
And I look back at when I was a kid, and my dad got angry. He was a pretty formidable guy, right? He was he was a carpenter his whole life. He was in great physical shape, and he was, you know, as a lot of people who work physically, his reactions were quick. They were swift.
Yeah.
And I look back and I remember there were times when I was getting in trouble, and every time I got into trouble, I knew I was walking into trouble, right?
Yeah.
You knew I had stepped over a line, and
yeah.
there was going to be consequences for this. And I knew it.
Yeah.
And I would walk into it, and those consequences would happen. I remember thinking at the time that it was bad for a parent to do that to a child. But then, I look back through my life now, and I look back on it, and from conversations I've had with my dad over the years, as I got older, our relationship got better.
Yeah.
Because he didn't have to worry about me anymore.
That's right.
And I could be myself, and he knew he had done what he could, and it was on me now.
Mm-hmm.
So, and from conversations that I had with him, and looking back from what I remember, my dad didn't do those things to hurt me. My dad did those things because he was terrified that I was going to get hurt.
Yeah, exactly, man. Yeah, for your future, for everything.
For my future, for everything.
Yeah, man.
Right? He was terrified that he didn't want to see me go down the roads I was going down, and he didn't know what to do about it.
Yeah.
And the best thing he could think of was to give me physical consequences for that. My dad never ever laid a hand on me that I did not deserve.
Yeah.
I can say that 100%.
Yeah.
I look back at the times when things were. I look back at some of the scarier times. It was the times that I did things that scared him the most.
Yeah, that were really bad.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was 13 years old. I was a bad kid. I came home at 3 o'clock in the morning, drunk.
Yeah.
And I fell asleep in a bathtub. And I got it for that one.
Yeah, for sure.
And I look back and I talk to my dad. He brings that up every once in a while. He says, I was terrified you were going to die.
Yeah.
And when I saw you, I was so happy that you were still alive. It was 3 o'clock in the morning. We didn't know where you were. I was so happy that you were still alive. And all I could think it was, I need to make sure this doesn't happen again.
Yeah, man. 100%, dude.
Right.
Yeah, being a parent's a crazy thing, man. Like, because you see, all it takes, it's like stepping, man. It's like, it starts snowballing for kids too, man.
Mm-hmm.
You let them do one bad thing and they get away with it, and then they're like, okay, well, I can go do that again. Then all of a sudden it's a little something worse and something a little bit worse. And before you know it, there's no stopping it, man. And it's like they're down a bad path and you missed your chance to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you need to be swift with it.
Yeah.
And the thing that they talk about how not needing I think our whole culture is a real problem with the divorce rate we have.
Yeah.
With people leaving, for having one minuscule fight and they want to get divorced over it, You have a child with somebody, it's like super important. At the very least, I feel like you should be staying together, trying to make it work till the kids are graduated.
Yeah.
Maybe then, but even then I don't know, man. It's just a good thing. Like, I've been with my lady now for going on 14 years.
Yeah.
And we got kids together and stuff, and I couldn't imagine leaving, we got a great thing going too. We were kind of an exception to the rule though.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things, man, in relationships, Nate, and you probably know this for being in relationships, but you can pick a fight anytime you want if you're going to go home. But this is somebody you love.
Yeah.
There's certain things that are going to get you upset.
Yeah.
Some things you just got to learn that whatever, man, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Your lady soaks the cast iron frying pan in the sink. It's like, am I going to freak out about it for 13 years straight? It's like, man, she threw it in the sink. It is what it is, man. I'll pull it out. I'm not going to completely blow my freaking mind over it and start screaming and stuff, you know what I mean? But there's lots of people who do. Yeah. And there's people who are always on the lookout for something better, Yeah. And that's a real problem with the social media and everything too, man. My lady's actually an exception to the rule too. Like, she's on TikTok and stuff, trying to do some online stuff, right? She does some digital marketing and stuff. She's not dressing provocative or doing anything, talking about anything provocative. She'll get 10 messages a day from dudes asking to please send me pics. Could I get your phone number? And she'll just tell me about them all, right? And she'll just show me, like, look what these guys are writing me. She's like, she writes them all the time. Like, I share this account with my husband to say, you might end up talking to him one of these days. And they just never respond back, right? And it's like, so she's an absolute beauty human being, man, that I just love being around. And we are really good together like that, because I'm not on the lookout for anybody ever. I don't talk to any other women. If you know if your husband is out talking to women, dude, he's not shouldn't be doing that.
No.
You know, same with women. If you have guy friends, those guys, they're waiting for an opening.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing, man.
100%.
You know?
Yeah, for you ladies out there, if your man is friends with a woman and he's hanging out with them, the thought has at least crossed his mind.
100%.
It is, and if an opportunity ever presented itself, who's to know if he can stop himself? I mean, people are weak nowadays, right?
Yeah, man.
And and people are looking for it. It's not even. Maybe it's the hope of something better, or maybe it's just that people get too complacent too easily now, and too used to things, and they're just looking for a new toy.
Yeah.
And relationships aren't meant to be that way.
No.
You know.
And I think that another big problem is too is that social media, right, makes everything seem better. Like all these people have perfect lives and everything.
Yeah.
Nobody's like all that is BS, man.
Yeah.
Nobody's got a perfect life going. You know, they're all doing sad things.
Yeah.
But there's some things you could do in your relationships, you know, to make them healthy. You know, if you're getting in a fight, you don't call each other names. You don't say things that you can never take back. Like with me and my lady, if we ever get in arguments, which we do, we've been in arguments. I never though. Like I do not yell at her.
No.
That's one thing, man. Like I don't do it, man. I don't raise my voice. If we end up getting in a heated thing, like I'll just walk out for a bit and I'll come back.
Yeah.
You know? And usually if I'm in the wrong, like no, always, if I'm in the wrong, I'll come back and be like, babe, I'm so sorry. Like I was completely out of line there. I had a bad day at work. Give her ass a little slap and be like, you know, I love you. Seriously. You're the best thing ever. Like,
yeah, for sure.
You know, let's go on. And she does the same thing, man. If she is having a bad day, she says something or she's feeling, she doesn't ever scream at me. Doesn't ever blame me for anything that's going on.
Yeah.
It's like, we both understand that it's like, we both have lives. We both got a ton of stuff going on in our lives.
Yeah.
But you don't ever do something that you can't take back.
No, for sure.
You know,
for sure.
That's the end. And when people start calling each other names and like, that's hard to come back from, man.
It is. Yeah.
You know, even if you don't mean it, it's like, hey man, you said some pretty mean stuff there, like, you know.
You know, I think if you were to even if you were to go up to the same person every day and tell them they look good today.
Yeah. Oh, it's huge.
Tell them they look good today. You know, you'll build that person up so much, but one time you go up to them and go, Jesus, did you really even try today?
Yeah.
You know, that's it.
Oh, that cuts so deep.
Everything we built is gone.
Yeah.
And they're worse.
Yeah.
Because they've been built up.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, you gotta be careful. You gotta be careful what you say. You gotta try to be gentle.
Yeah.
You have to try to be, everything should come from a place of love. And even when you're in an argument, you should try not to do something that's gonna hurt that person.
That's right, man. Especially if they're your significant other, you know what I mean? You've been with them forever. You could just throw it away because somebody dumped some food down the sink. You know, or usually it starts off as something small, you know, but there is big arguments out there. Like we were just saying, like usually it comes from infidelity or talking to other people.
Yeah.
But if you're talking to other people, you're setting yourself up. Don't ever put yourself in that position. You know, that's where the problem lies. I don't ever put myself in that position. I don't talk to other girls. I don't go out messaging other girls on stuff, right? Don't ever do that.
No.
Because then you're putting yourself in a position where it's like you're doing something. If you can't tell your lady about it, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
That's like bottom line, and that goes for women too. If you can't tell your man about what you're doing something wrong. Like
I've actually got a little bit of a variation on that I've actually done for the last 5-6 years. I've kind of changed that to, if you're doing something and you feel like you can't tell your mom about it, you probably shouldn't be doing it.
No, that's a good point, man. Yeah, 100%.
Right.
Yeah, and people do. You know, they'll just. I don't know. I think it's really social media has led people down a bad way. I think that the divorce rate is far more now than it ever was before it. You know what I mean?
I think we're in a situation where that mixed with the idea that with the fact that we've made masculinity something that men are afraid of.
Yeah.
Being now.
That's right. Yeah.
Being a masculine male right now is like putting a target on your back. It feels like to a lot of guys.
It does. Yeah. No, that's true, man.
You know, so you get that, and now when you have a lack of masculinity, you have a lack of vision for a future, and you have a lack of self-control. You put those three things together, and a relationship's a damn near impossible thing.
Yeah, that's right, man. Yeah. And you snap over anything, and you leave over anything, man. You don't have the stability. Like, people think being a man is easy, dude. It's crazy to me.
Yeah.
Oh man, I gotta sneeze. It feels like people think that being a man is easy. Like a lot of women think that, right?
Yeah.
They don't understand like the constant stress of being And women will be like, I want to be the breadwinner and all that stuff. Yeah. Even if you want to be, you're not expected to be.
Yeah.
Raising a family, like, it is the man's job to support them in every basic way out there, Say the woman doesn't want to work, that's completely up to her. The man never has that option.
No.
That is like, you need to be the guy working. You need to be the one bringing home the bacon. You need to be the one making decisions that's going to keep this household moving forward, into a better, everybody wants bigger and better and best. They all want new things. So it's like your trajectory needs to be moving up, man.
Yeah.
If you end up just plateauing, or you give up as a man, it's like your family's done. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of stress for a guy every day to be like, man, my family's not where it needs to be right now. My kids aren't happy. They need this and that. In the end, that falls on the man. To be like, because I feel like the men feel that, because it's our job to support and to provide the like the requirements, whatever your kids need, your wife need. It's the man's job to make sure financially that you have that, and just in general, like support wise, mentally. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's the man's job, like the mom's job in my house growing up. And I'm exception to the rule there too. My parents are still together.
Yeah.
They've been together their whole lives, basically my whole life, right?
My parents were together until
that's pretty awesome thing. Yeah. They've been together a long time. But like my mom ended up working later on in life when we were older. Mm-hmm. But her job was always like getting us ready for school. She'd make us breakfast and stuff. She'd have suppers and lunches ready. Like the standard stay-at-home mom stuff. Yeah. She'd be the soft person that we'd try to go to when we were in, hey, like, Mom, I did something bad. She'd try to soften Dad up a little bit for us, so when Dad came home, we wouldn't freak out. But it's like, in the end, what scared us the most? I'm going to tell your dad. You don't get home right now, I'm going to be telling your dad about it. Yeah. And that'd be like, okay, I'm on my way. It's like, I don't want her to tell Dad, because that was a strong figure in our household, man. And that's what it needs to be. If we don't have that, what are the kids scared of?
Yeah.
Like there needs to be a fear.
There does.
A healthy fear. Yeah. It's not like scared of being abused. Uh-huh. Scared that your father's going to be disappointed in you.
Yeah.
To me, that was one of the worst, man. Yeah, your dad to say that he's disappointed in you is like, oh my God, man, that hurts bad. It's like, you don't want that. And I didn't want that. I don't know where that is anymore with our civilization, with our country, man. And it's specifically, it's like
we're more worried about the I don't even want to say the emotion. It's really funny to me. We say that we worry more about the emotions of children and the mental health, but in actuality, the things that we're doing because we say that we're worried about those things are making them worse.
Yeah, they're compounded way worse, man.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a weird catch little 22 that we're doing, that we're literally writing our own obituary.
Yeah, we are, man.
In the society.
And we're coddling them right to the point where they're not even human. Like they got no. They can't, like the biggest thing we talked about it earlier, but like we're coddling to the point where like we're not telling them like you need to get your emotions in check.
Yeah.
Everybody has emotions. Yeah. Everybody gets angry about things,
Yeah.
You cannot freak out over every little thing that goes on in your life. Yeah. A teacher tells you to do something you don't want to do, a report on something you don't want to do it on. You're going to freak out about it to the point where you're not going to go to class or stuff like that. Like that is not, or yell or God forbid, bring a gun to school. Like kids that are bullied, you know what I mean? Like bullying is bad, no doubt about it, man. Mm-hmm. Bullying isn't cool.
No,
okay?
It's not.
I remember being a kid. I was never a bully. And I actually wrote, when Facebook first came around, I wrote a couple of kids that I used to go to school with and said like, hey man, I'm sorry for saying jokes and stuff. They're like, I never thought of you as a bully. Like you were just a class clown. Mm-hmm. And I'd make jokes and I'd make jokes about my own expense and I'd make jokes at other people's expense. I was always the class clown. And it's like, but I still like later on, I was like, I felt really bad, like, dude, if I'd ever did anything to hurt you, and they're like, no, Donnie, I never thought that about you at all, right? Which made me feel good.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people out there who don't even realize that they're like that, and it might be because their home life is crappy or who knows what it is, not getting the attention they need. But I don't know, man. There is a happy medium there, right? With men too.
Yeah.
You can't be getting beat every day either. That's not. I know people that I hear people walking around like. I got neighbors that are pretty close by that I constantly hear swearing at their kids. It drives me insane, man. Their kids are like young. We're talking like 5-6 years old.
Wow,
right?
that's horrible.
Yeah, and they're constantly swearing at them. And I'm like, man, my daughter, my youngest one here, and all of them, I don't ever swear at them, man. Mm-hmm. I might have sworn in conversation when we've had a real big blow with my boy one time, but it was like to shock and awe that like I'm for real right now. Like, this isn't a joke. And it wasn't swearing at him.
Yeah.
Just swearing in the situation, you know what I mean? But I very, very, very rarely do I even swear around the kids. I really try hard to, like, because when I'm at work sometimes, you know, we're truckers, Nate.
Yeah,
you know, it's like the potty mouth just starts flowing, man. It's like, oh my goodness, what am I doing? But when I get home, I really don't. And that is something that really can affect a kid growing up in life, going on, you know. And if their parents are constantly swearing at them, you're never going to think you're worth anything.
Yeah.
And that really hurts a person's self-esteem and shit too. So you got to constantly, like, I'm always telling my kids that I am proud of them and stuff like that, right? When they do stuff wrong, Nate.
Yeah.
I got to call them out on it, man. I'm not just going to coddle them and stuff. And that's part of the school's problem too, I find out. Having kids and stuff is that they're constantly undermining the parents' ability to punish their kids or to even talk to them.
Yeah.
I've had my kids come home and say that the counselors at school have told them that us as parents have no right to make them do anything that they don't want to do.
That's insane.
Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy.
Like, we're talking about a kid who's clearly doing something wrong, you know, and I'm trying to get him to go to school.
Yeah.
And their solution is to tell the kid, when I'm not even around to defend my point of view, that they have no right as a parent to tell their child who's in their early teens what to do.
Yeah.
That is completely insane to me, man. And like, our schools have way too much influence and power over that.
Yeah.
And it's pretty scary, man. Like, you know, I've even actually talked to, we talked to a person here in BC not that long ago who works with social services. Wasn't a domestic matter. We needed to go there, but I knew a person, right? And talk to them. And they said that if your child who's under 18, if you were going to move away, say if we wanted to move to Saskatchewan or as a family, if one of our children who are under 18 didn't want to move, we could not make them move.
That's wild.
Insane is what it is. It's like, I had like a blow up. I was like, what are you talking about? They're like, yeah, seriously, in BC, like, you would need to either provide them housing here. Like, they're under 18.
Yeah.
They're under 18.
You know where the family goes.
Yeah, like, what are you talking about?
At the end of
Giving them that power is crazy, Nate. And I think that's one of the biggest problems, right? Like, it's all about feelings and about that, and like, whatever they want, they need to get.
Yeah. No. And that's the thing. Like, a child should not have that power.
Not at all, man.
A child should not have that power over other people or over themselves.
No.
And the second you start doing that, I mean, if you start, when you coddle your child, when you tell your child, like, it's good to tell your child that you're proud of them, right?
Oh, yeah.
But when all you ever tell your child is that you're proud of them, and you tell them for things that are probably wrong, but you just, you know, I'm proud of you anyways.
Yeah.
You know, that child learns there's no consequences.
That's right.
And then when you give them power and you're not allowed to contradict anything that they want to do, that child also realizes that they can do whatever they want. Exactly. So now you're teaching a child, literally, you can do whatever you want with no consequences.
Yeah.
It's how you make serial killers.
It totally is, man. 100%, man. Yeah, you make complete sociopaths, right? They just think that no matter what happens in life, they get what they want.
Yeah.
And it's like, that is not, and that's really goes back to the fundamentals of what we were talking about earlier about the trans stuff even. It's like, you can't make civilization do everything you want and work the way you want it to, man. Yeah. Everybody's got different opinions and different points of view. It's like, that's why back in the day when caveman style were sweet, I think that leveled the playing field. People who were down for the pacification of the planet, they got mauled by wolves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like, yeah, it's a good idea, but in practice, it doesn't really work.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? You have to be strong. You have to have a strong. You can't just go wander off into the woods in the middle of the night because you want to.
Yeah.
It's like, no, there's consequences. You're doing something wrong. You can't go out there. We're telling you for a reason. Do not go out there. You know? And now people are just not giving the parents the power to do that. And in fact, like, the school boards, man, they do a lot of stuff behind the parents' backs. And it's scary, man. The books that they have even in kindergarten, like, we're homeschooling our youngest one.
Yeah.
And
I applaud you for that.
Oh man, it's awesome, dude.
That's scary.
It's awesome, dude. Yeah. And she's smart as a whip too, so it's like, it's handy, man. It's like really good. I wish that we would have had the tools and the understanding about to do it with our other kids earlier. But the schools really, man, have really changed. I'd say in the past like 6 years, 6 or 7 years, they've really changed. Like,
I think there's the idea that you should be able to trust the institution that's taking care of your child.
Yeah, I think you should. But
you should.
Yeah.
Right? You should be able to.
Yeah.
But you shouldn't trust them.
You shouldn't. No.
No, because right now they're not working for you.
No.
And they're not working for your child.
That's right, man. They could have a totally different viewpoint of the world and value and core beliefs about what the world should be,
then
you're telling your kid at home, right? You know, especially when it comes to all the stuff we were just talking about. You know, if you don't believe like, hey man, like boys are girls and girls are boys and all that, they're going and learning that for 8 hours a day, they're getting that stuff pushed on them. You know, you as a parent, you only get to see your kid once they're a little bit older. Your kids are hanging out with friends, they're doing other things. You only get to see them for a couple hours. You know, so they end up getting more time, more power. You need to have that stuff's got to be separate. You're there to teach them the ABCs and the numbers. You know, I'm there to teach the person his core beliefs and how to be a good human being. You know, the values of being human. That's the parent's job. That is not the school's job, and that's kind of what they've started doing. They give you 8 hours of homework for your kid to do because they don't teach them squat about that during school. But they'll teach them about gender all the time. They were having assemblies here in town last year, like once a month, to talk about gender. What are you talking about? Must attend assemblies, man.
Crazy.
Insane stuff. Like, what are we talking about, man? Like, you can talk about it at the beginning of the year and say, hey, there's some of these people here in school. You know, be conscientious of it. Don't be mean. All that stuff. That's fine. But when you make it out to be the core issue of the world, like that's the main issue that's holding humanity back. It's like, what are you talking about, man? Like, let's get back to learning the basics. A lot of these kids don't know how to read. They certainly can't write. You look at text messages and stuff, you're like, what are you trying to say? You know, they literally can't write complete sentences and stuff, man. And it's pretty nuts. Like, I think that's really taking a back seat, you know, to all this other identity politics and all, like, just in general, like what they're learning in school. I don't think it's pushed hard enough about the basics about school, the numbers, the math, the reading, the writing.
And that's what it should be.
That's all school needs to be, man. That is literally what it's there for, man. It's not for them to try to push their values into what my child needs. What I'm telling him at home, that's what he needs to know. You know,
how a child's development should be based upon what their parents. You should be an amalgamation of your parents' beliefs. Right. That's how it should end up.
That's how it keeps households together. You know.
And now, at the same time, realistically, you would hope that that's a family with a father and a mother in it who are loving and caring.
That's right. There's exceptions, no doubt.
There's definitely exceptions, but even those exceptions, like it's still how can I say this? Even in those exceptions, if you look at something like, let's take for example, if you've got a single mother raising a child, right? Statistically speaking, a boy child that is raised by a single mother and has mostly feminine interactions in his life will grow up without knowing a lot about how to be masculine and comfortable.
That's right.
But in that situation, you can't step in and try to go against the mother. Right? That's still the mother's child.
That's right.
Right.
If you see a kid when you're a teacher, you see wounds on him, bruising, that kind of stuff. As a teacher, you can step in 100% at that. You know, like that's not what we're talking about when it's abuse and stuff like that. We're talking about differing opinions about how we think the world is. It's not the teacher's job to constantly hound that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Like, oh, your parents are wrong. No, you don't ever get to contradict, say stuff like that. You know, like that's not cool at all.
No, for sure.
And that's a big thing that's happened a lot recently. Like, it's all about race. It's all about gender. That's like the main thing. A lot of the papers my kids have to do in school are about race, right? And some of them are pretty weird. It's like, why is this constantly the topic about everything? Racism was a problem and there is racists out there, but there's a lot of racist black people to white people. There's a lot of racist white people to black people. There's a lot of Mexicans who are racist to other people. You know, it's like there is racists out there, but saying that everybody's a racist is not, it's lost, the word has lost something now because it's like, you're just saying it to people who aren't that. They're not racist at all, you know what I mean? And you're just calling them a racist because they disagree with you on politics? It's like, how did that turn into racism? It's completely ridiculous, man.
And the contradictions in that outlook are just so apparent. When you look at that, all those people who are saying that, there's a huge portion of the world out there that says that, I don't know how to use this, vocal minority, that says that a white male is automatically racist. Well, you know what?
White privilege,
That's racist.
That's saying that alone is racist. Exactly, man.
That is far more racist than how most white people are. And I think also, same thing that I was saying with another point earlier, by bringing all this up over and over and over again, like race, gender, politics, you're actually kind of turning them into what you are saying you don't want them to be. If you keep throwing race at a child, then race becomes important to that child.
That's all they want to talk about.
Right?
Yeah.
And then as soon as race becomes important, then there's a difference between the races.
Yeah, that's right.
Right?
Yeah. It's 100% true.
And so you're teaching your children to be racist.
Yeah.
By doing that. I think if you look back going with gays, lesbians, all the races, I think we were on a trajectory where we were literally beating all of the bad stuff.
Yeah.
Like we were winning. The battle was like everybody was like, we didn't care.
Yeah, we didn't care about it, man. I don't care if you're
gay. I don't care if you're lesbian.
That's right.
I don't care what race you are.
Yeah.
And we were on a trajectory for that to be like, for the world to actually be really good that way.
Yeah.
And by bringing all of that in and making it such a big battle over it, we've actually turned it back like 10, 20 years.
Oh, I agree, man. I agree 100% with that.
Right.
I think that's the media, right? Too. Tell me a time you've ever heard something on the media where it's not like white man shoots black man. The very first thing out of their mouth, they say they don't want to talk about racism. You know, they don't want the world to be racist. Well, then quit referring to everybody as a black man or a white man.
Yeah.
How about just a man from Cincinnati shoots another guy, a 56-year-old male, shoots a guy. It doesn't have to be the very first thing you say as color. Because that's what's starting it, man. Like, that's where it starts. It's like you start talking about that all the time.
Yeah.
And that just gets to be the point where that's all everybody wants to know.
For sure.
You know, everybody wants to know, well, what color was he?
Yeah.
It's like, well, it doesn't matter what color he was, man. He was a dude. Like, I don't know, man. We're in a pretty weird state where people just want to talk about that all the time. They need to be, like I was saying, they need to be something. You can't just be a dude. Yeah. You can't just be a woman. You got to be, like, what's this cis male? They got all these other terms and stuff for dudes now. There's like 87 genders. There's all this stuff out there. It's like, we're making life too complicated, man. Where people don't understand what's going on anymore. Like, and we're just want to act like this is normal. It's not normal, guys. Like,
it's not normal.
We have way too much overload. Everything, sensory overload, man. Like, we got way too much going on, and we're way too distracted with this stuff. And I think that's honestly the government and the media's plan is to keep us all distracted.
Yeah.
Fighting over this minuscule stuff that really has no meaning. So that we're not paying attention to what they're doing, man.
Yeah.
You know?
And, you know, in the end, too, I've kind of believed. I remember looking back when I was a kid. Canadian Tire started coming out with these commercials that showed a guy shopping, and he was kind of he was shopping while his wife was in there getting stuff. And I remember looking at these commercials and thinking it was weird. It was weird that you know, they showed the man kind of just so worried about what his wife was doing.
Yeah.
And then I remember reading something saying that somebody had said at the time that this was kind of the beginning of the demasculation of our society, when you're starting to see commercials like this coming out. I remember thinking, no, it's just a commercial, right?
Yeah.
And now I look back and I realize that things have gotten so progressively worse over time.
Yeah. Small little increments at a time after time, man. Yeah. And that's what happens too, right? Yeah. It's like they take away certain fundamental rights too. Like, you take away something so small and it's like, that's like what was really scary about COVID. Yeah. That's what, like, the trucker protest was like. People were against that I know, who were like, you know, good folks, man, that I really care about. And they're like, fucking stupid truckers down there in Ottawa. Don't they know that they need to take the vaccine to be safe? It's like, you guys aren't understanding where this was going to go. Yeah. If there was no pushback, they were talking about restricting travel, taking people's money from their bank accounts, like absolute insanity.
Oh, they did that.
Yeah, they did that. They did take money.
That was dumb.
Yeah, no, but I mean, like, if they were going to make it like a law, say that you couldn't travel across a border. Yeah. Make it a law. Yeah. Do you think that they're ever going to take that away? No. It's like, once something is written in law, man, that's like, it never goes back, man. It's so hard to unwrite it. Yeah. Like, even with our guns getting taken away, like, I really want Pierre to come in, and I'm hoping that he's able to get the rights back for us to buy these guns again that have all been taken away, right? And unrestricted, because now we're not allowed to buy pistols or anything. Hopefully that can go back. But that's not certain at all. Like, it's a tough uphill battle, man, to get anything like that to happen after it's already in law. So, like, they want more power. That's the thing about the government. They want more power, and that's what I find a lot about the left, man, is that's what they want too. They want the government to have more power. It's like, I used to consider myself a liberal when I was younger. I think a lot of young people probably do. Yeah. You know? But it's like, they want, and I didn't consider this though, but they want the government to have more programs, more power over them, more say, more things like, the government should be doing this and that. In my opinion, no. People need to look after themselves. Yeah. Government, stay out of my way. You build the roads, you build the bridges. That's where our tax money goes. You don't need to send all of our money over to different countries without us having any say over it at all, putting us in massive debt, rising the inflation out the ace. So now nobody can afford anything. None of that was our decision.
No.
None of that was the citizens. That was all these clowns that are in there, and they're making the decisions, turns out, for their own benefit. They're all getting money out of it. You know what I mean? And it's like, we're all distracted talking about gender. Back in the day, when people came over from like Britain and stuff, it was because they started charging interest on stuff.
Yeah.
Like, we went to a whole new country. They called it the New World. They're like, nah, not paying interest.
Yeah.
Now we pay over 50% if you consider what we're actually taxed on our normal paychecks.
Yeah.
And then going out and buying food every day, all that stuff. It's like over 50% of our check goes to taxes.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, but people are worried about TikTok and stuff. And it's like, man, we need to really focus on what's important in life. You know what I mean? Like, this is really big deal stuff, how much we're getting taxed. And none of that stuff's ever going to go away. Once there is a new one in there, it doesn't get taken out, man. It's like there's always going to be more. And if you incrementally let them take a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more, we have no freedom at all. And people really need to pay attention and stand up to it, right? Because then where do we end up? Where do we go? It's going to be socialist government,
for sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you know, with the government that's in power right now, I think that is their end game.
I 100% agree, man.
Right.
Canada's in a rough way.
I think if you go back to looking at how everything is made to kind of like pull us away from what's really going on, I think, you know, if you even go one step further than that, I think that is something that is definitely being done to us, but not only by the government but by big business as well.
Oh, 100% corporations.
If you can keep a population weak, that population will purchase.
Yeah. Exactly, man.
A weak population tries to find other ways to make themselves feel better, and they buy things.
Yeah, that's right.
Right?
Yeah.
So you've got government and big business looking to keep people in a weak position because it's beneficial for them. Short term, right? Long term, it's beneficial for nobody.
That's right. Health-wise, too, Nate.
Right?
You know? Yeah. Health-wise, too, man. You look at... I don't think they're really in the business of, like, eradicating some diseases, right?
Yeah.
They want to be able to make sure that you have to go back and get more medicine for the remainder of your life, you know? And not saying doctors, there's a lot of doctors out there who are fantastic people and they really care about healing people. That's why they took the position in the first place. But talking about pharmaceutical industry, you know, about what drugs they let buy and don't let buy.
Yeah.
You know, COVID was a prime example. On it. And it's like, if you're not willing to accept that, I don't know what to say to you, because like there's so much evidence out there now that there was just a lot of contradictions and a lot of misinformation that the media pushed. And you were called crazy. I was called crazy, and they didn't care about people. You know, from people I love in my family. Yeah. We're like, what are you doing? You don't care about people? You're not even going to get it? And it's like, I don't believe that this is a real thing, guys. Like, I think that there's a lot of I can't even use the word because I don't like swearing, but there's a lot of misinformation going on here, guys, you know? And I always thought, even from the get-go, something's very fishy about this whole thing, why they're pushing this on people, man. Like, so hard, you know? And I've fully vaccinated for all my other vaccines, by the way.
Yeah, me as well.
You know, I'm not anti-vax in any way.
No.
But how it all came about, Fauci and them saying, like, they're the one, like, it was pretty clear that it was created in a lab from the get-go, too. And it was like, you know, there's lots of people talking about that. Fucking forensic virologists were like, hey, man, this is most likely, but what we can see is created in the lab. Yeah. They wouldn't even talk about it, you know? It's like, and it came out from the same place in Wuhan where there was a lab where they did biological weapons like that.
That's
like,
funny, right?
You're like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
But man, people that I love, I tried telling them about that, they would like, not only not talk to me about it, man, they were like hating me. Yeah. Like, they thought I was the enemy of the world, dude. And it was like, this is scary, man. The government can do this, you know? And in the end, the vaccines didn't end up stopping you from getting the virus. No. But still you wanted everybody else to get it? Yeah, you had to get it to protect your loved ones, but it didn't stop you from passing it on to your loved ones. It was crazy, man. Yeah. Like, we lived through a pretty weird time like that. It's funny that you talk to people about it now, like, they don't really want to talk about it if they were the ones who got it. I actually have a few friends, man, that I grew up with, and I talked to them recently when I went back to my hometown. They're like, I regret getting it. Yeah. I wish I never did. And one of them is like so far now that he's like completely anti-vax altogether. And I was like, see, I'm not like that. Like, I just think there needs to be the same rigorous tests as everything all other medicines have to go through. Yeah. You know, if you're going to especially if you're going to force it on people, man. Yeah. You know? I mean, if I'm not mistaken, all the vaccines have failed the actual tests. Yeah. Right? A lot of them were completely pulled. Yeah. Yeah. Right? They're not even on the market anymore because they're terrible for you. They hurt you.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's insane, man. They are forcing how many millions, Nate? Hundreds of millions.
And in our own country here in Canada, our Prime Minister actually purchased enough vaccines for 11 times the population.
Yeah, because they wanted to keep giving them to us.
Yeah.
Over and over and over, man. Boosters, more boosters. You guys need to take this and that. And I honestly feel like it was all for control, man.
Yeah.
They wanted people scared. I think that a scared population is much more easy to control, and that's what they look for, and that's what the media tries to do every day with trying to scare us. I think that is like literally one of the biggest things that people don't see. People think like hear propaganda, and they hear, like for me, we learned about it as like World War II. There was so much propaganda between the... Propaganda didn't stop in World War II, guys. It amplified 1,000,000 times when social media came out, right? Propaganda is so prevalent now. It's like, if you're watching the media, the mainstream media, you are seeing lies.
Yeah.
Both sides.
Both sides.
Like, whether it's Fox, whether it's CNN, everybody has an angle that they're trying to work, or a business that's sponsoring them that they can't defend, or, you know, there's too many ties, too many corporate ties that people can't defend everybody. The only place I think where you're honestly getting honest information is independent media, when they have experts on that are willing to talk for hours on end, and you can find holes in what they're saying. Yeah. You know, people asking them real questions, not just like the easy questions that are getting tossed to people. You know, there has to be those hard questions asked, and I don't think our government or our media answer any questions. You know, it's crazy. Even the media, Nate. How often do you see them ever, like CBC, say, that's Canada Broadcasting Company here in Canada, which the Trudeau government gave $750 million to a few years ago.
Yeah.
They never have ever had a bad word to say about him. You think that's just a coincidence?
That's interesting, right?
You know, it's like, no.
They got a lot bad to say about Trudeau.
They hate Pierre.
His opponent.
Yeah, they hated all of his opponents that they've had who've tried to come in the Conservative Party. They've absolutely torn up. They don't even let him speak when they're talking. They're just constantly interrupting him with questions and stuff. Like, it's pathetic.
Yeah.
But there's people out there who don't see that.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me, man.
It's wild, right? I mean, if you look at I remember back there was a time when if you were in the media and you put out a story and the story was found to be false, there were repercussions.
Yeah,
right?
as there should be.
Like a journalist would be fired over something like that. And now we've gotten to the point where the media now is pushing their own opinions.
Yeah, it's opinions. That's right. That's right? Opinion pieces. Everything is an opinion piece now. Yeah.
If you look at, I don't know if you heard about this. Have you ever heard of Snopes? They
I have heard the name. Yeah.
They're like a fact checking thing.
Yeah.
And they go through and they find out if things are true or not.
Yeah.
So they've actually changed their rating to they've got a rating for if they find out that something's not true, they can say that this is not true, but that they feel it should be.
Yeah. Like the feelings take priority over it. It's like, well, that unfortunately doesn't mean anything. Like, it's not true. You just said it.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Oh man.
Facts are facts.
Yeah, right? Facts are facts, man.
But a lot of people are treating opinions as facts now.
Yeah. And it's clickbait stuff, just like you said, too. Yeah. Like, that's what gets clicks. So that's what gets them more views for that. But it's not true, and most of it's not, man. It's all like tabloids, you know. Back in the day, tabloids, you'd see that stuff, and like, what the heck is going on with this? Aliens or whatever, celebrity gossip and stuff, right? And it wasn't true.
Yeah.
A lot of it, right? But it would be in those things when people would buy them just for that. It's like, that's what our daily news is now.
Yeah.
It's completely...
Yeah, it's clickbait.
Yeah, it's totally clickbait stuff that's mostly made up, you know, or taken out of context and stuff. And
even if you look at... I saw recently Kamala Harris was interviewed by CNN, and she was asked a question, and they edited the answer.
Yeah, I did see that too.
They edited the answer. The actual original answer, she stumbled. And she stumbled hard, and she had nothing to say, and a lot of ahs, and you know,
word salads that she always has.
Yeah, and then they just took that right out, and the way that they presented it on television looked like she had the answer.
Yeah, nailed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's disgusting. If Trump did that.
Yeah. Oh, that's all they would show.
That's all.
Even if he came up with the best answer ever after that, all they would show.
Yeah. Oh, he's mentally unfit. You think he's even mentally stable? Like maybe he's losing his mind. Look at everything, man. The Hunter Biden laptop. Yeah. Everything that I remember talking to family members about this too, who absolutely hate Trump because of the news. Yeah. They absolutely hate him down here in Canada, even, right? Like they think he's a terrible guy, he's a racist and all this stuff. I remember talking about the Russian thing afterwards, after it came out that Hillary actually was the one who funded that thing, paid somebody $1 million to make it. Yeah. And I told my dad, well, he's like, I don't believe it.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, what do you mean? You know, and he's like, you know, I think that he did have something to do. I think he was in collusion with them. I was like, well, I know you do because you've heard it for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
That's all you've heard. And I was like, and I completely understand why you believe it. But if you go look in the other things, you know, because how often did you hear about that afterwards? That Hillary had something to do with that thing?
No, barely.
Yeah, barely. Man, did the mainstream news even cover it all? Like, I don't know if she actually got brought. Maybe like for a couple of days they might have talked about it, and then it was gone. Same with Hunter Biden's laptop. It was all a joke. It was all wrong. It was made up by conservatives. It was another Russian thing, right? And it was like, no, it turned out 100% true. Yeah, it turns out, and all the media was guilty of it.
Yeah.
You know, that was actual election interference.
Yeah.
They talk about Trump, they're trying to prosecute him for this nonsense. It's like, that was actual election interference, 100%. Man. And they don't, they just never talk about it, man. So there's such a double standard with the media, you know. Almost every media is super far left, you know. Like, and then there's Fox News, who is still, you know, they're mostly conservative views, right? Yeah. But it's like, even them, man, they're more so now too. I think that they can only go so far with it.
Well, they got to worry about their advertising.
Yeah, they have people sponsoring them and stuff too, and that's what everybody's beholden to, right? Their sponsors. That was the one thing about Trump that he brought up when he was debating Hillary back in the day, when he was like, it's because none of these people, I don't owe these people nothing. Yeah. I'm running this on my own. I didn't take money from them. Yeah. It's like all your donors, they have the same tax breaks I get. Mm-hmm. You're not going to change the law because they don't want you to change the law. Yeah. You know? And it's like such a prime example, man. It was like, yeah, no kidding, man. It totally makes sense. If you're in power, you had to get all this money for your campaigns and all this stuff. Do you really think they're giving you that money for nothing? Yeah. Giving you tens of millions of dollars and all this stuff for nothing.
They're getting something.
They're going to want something out of it, man. Yeah. And they can all do this insider trading and stuff, and it's no big deal. You know, Pelosi's worth like $100 million, and she's worked a government job her entire life. How is that possible? She's better than the best investors in the entire world? Right. Yeah, no, guys. It's because she has insider trading. She has insider knowledge, and most of them do. And that's why so many politicians are millionaires. Mm-hmm. It's insane. You go look at it. It's pretty crazy how many are millionaires, right? And it's like,
yeah, it's crazy. And then you look at somebody like Trump, and I don't think mainstream media never made nearly as big a deal about this as they should have. But every single paycheck that man got, he gave.
Yeah, dude, he gave it away.
He gave it away.
What incredible! If you would hear about that about anybody else, say Biden was doing that, right? Yeah. That's all they talk about. What a great guy he is, an amazing humanitarian, giving away his money like this. Trump, they're like, yeah, well, he should give it away. He's a billionaire. Yeah. Huh? Yeah, but he doesn't have to, and he's choosing to.
He's choosing.
Like, because he actually cares about the country. Yeah. That's what I honestly feel. I think he really does care about his country.
And you know another thing? He's sending a message. He's saying, I do this because I want to.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
I do this because I care.
Yeah, because he cares about it. Because he doesn't need to.
I don't need the money.
Yeah, doesn't need the money. Yeah. He doesn't need the headache, I feel like, dude. Yeah. He's tried to make it killed twice. That second assassination, you didn't even hear about it, dude. Yeah. They tried to assassinate him on his golf course. You didn't even hear about it. It was in the news like once. Yeah. This is disgusting, man. Yeah. I don't know. We live in such a weird world where it's like, I think all you're getting is that point of view. So, like, they need people like the Good Man Initiative there, too, and people talking about, you know, the other point of view, because we don't get it enough, right? And it's like, you gotta, as people, we do need that, man. It's like we need both sides of the story. We need to have open debate back in this country, back in the States, just in general in the world, man. We need to have open debate. You need to be able to hearing other ideas. Like I said before, is that like free speech isn't for the easy stuff, man. No, it's for the hard stuff that nobody wants to hear, and it's like that's tough. We got to debate. We got to hear each other's point of views out. You know what? Hey, if me and you disagree on something, we can disagree like aggressively. We can disagree with each other. Later on, we can go fishing together.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And still, it doesn't mean that you're a bad person because you think something different than I think, you know? It's like, that's what we need to get back to. We need to get back to where, like, debate is commonplace, where it's not, you're a racist now because you want to debate me about something that has nothing to do with race. Yeah. You know, it's like, that's where it goes to all the time, is these crazy things that you're calling people, and it's like, it's just name calling, and it's... There's no debate anymore, man. You don't. If you don't want to hear the idea, you watch a lot of those things, like Charlie Kirk and all those guys that go onto campuses. They'll try to talk to people about it. They'll just walk away. Mm-hmm. They'll yell something in the mic, racist, and then they'll just they'll walk away. Tell me I'm racist, and then they'll be like, no. They'll just walk away. Yeah, you know, it's like that kind of stuff, man. It's sick.
And that's like, I find too, you see a lot of the times when they're yelling that stuff. It's like they've gotten the point that beats that beats what they were saying.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
that's
right.
Oh, you're racist.
Yeah.
And turn around and walk away.
Yeah, because they got nothing else.
It's the end of the conversation.
Yeah, they got no rebuttal.
You're racist, I can walk away. You're
yeah, and they actually don't know facts.
Racist. Yeah.
Yeah, they know no facts about any of the issues, so it's like they'll just yell that out. That's a trump card, right? The way to just to get rid of it. You know? Oh, I'm done.
I think you're seeing a lot of that now in the I think you're seeing quite a bit of it now, and quite a few issues that go along with that over what's going on with Israel and Palestine right now.
That's insane, man.
I was watching this one guy. He was interviewing people at a pro-Palestine rally, and he was asking them about you know what they were you know why they were supporting that, and they'd be like, oh well, they're all dying out there, you know, they're being killed indiscriminately, and then he would go, okay, well, you're all right with every Jew in Israel being killed?
Yeah.
And they're like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, don't you know what from the river to the sea?
Yeah, that's literally what it means, guys. Like, it's insane, man. I don't know, dude. It's crazy. Did you see, like, here in Canada, man, they were burning at those rallies.
Yeah.
They were burning Canada flags.
Yeah.
What are you talking about, man? Move back to your own country. Like, if you hate Canada that much, like, that's what I'm worried about, man. Is like they're gonna bring that stuff over here. It's like I'm all for immigration, right? I want people to move here.
Me as well.
But this is one thing that I've never understood, man. And I don't really. I'd love somebody to sit down with me and like try to tell me, explain to me why this is. But like when people move here from a country that they didn't like, right? It was terrible times wherever you came from. Yeah. You moved to Canada for a better life. Why do you insist on not being Canadian?
Yeah.
You know, it's like that's not a like assimilation to the country. You know, like you move to Canada because you like Canada. You don't move here and be like, no, I want to change Canada to the way that to the place that I just came from. You know, forget your values and your core beliefs here in Canada. It needs to be back there. Well, that place exists still.
Yeah,
the place you came from still exists. If you can go back there anytime you want.
Yeah.
You know, you don't need to change this place. There needs to be different. That's the thing too. People always talk about is diversity, right?
Yeah.
Diversity, in my opinion, is super important. Intellectual diversity is very important. I do not feel that cultural diversity is like a great leap forward that everybody needs, like for every country. You could be in these different countries and have different cultures and different values, but that doesn't need to be your main thing.
Yeah.
You know, you need to be a Canadian. You're going to be a Canadian here. That's how Canada is going to move forward as a country.
Yeah.
If it's getting torn in a million different directions, there's no way for it to move forward, man. No. It's just like we're at a standstill now where everybody's fighting with each other all the time. There's no common ground. And Justin Trudeau was saying before, like, Canada has no identity. That kind of stuff, man. That kills Canadians, dude. It's like that's right there. It gives them credence to go keep doing this stuff, man.
I actually think if you look back throughout history, Canada has one of the best national identities of any country.
I agree, man.
I mean, if you look at what we did in World War I and World War II, our giving spirit that we have.
Oh yeah, man. Everybody's known as like we're caring human beings. Like, you know what I mean? What we're not, what we shouldn't be is like him saying that we're nothing. Yeah. Basically is what he said.
Yeah.
Canada, we're nothing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, what are you talking about, man? It's disgusting.
Telling us that we shouldn't be putting up Canadian flags because it makes people from other countries feel.
Oh my God, man!
This is unbelievable. We're Canadian.
Yeah, we get so it's a bad thing for us to like our country, to love our country. You know, love what Canada was. You know, because I don't want to say what it is anymore. Because I don't love what Canada is anymore, man. It's like I want it to go. I want it to be a country that I want to live in again, but. I've talked a lot with my family and friends about moving, you know, to someplace else because it's just like what is it going to be in 10 years, 20 years if this shit doesn't change, man? It's pretty worrisome. It's you know,
it's an interesting time right now, right? Because we're really at a point where I feel like the people who have been not saying their piece are ready to stand up and say their piece.
Yeah, that's what I hope, man.
Right? I feel like people want to stand up and their people are ready to go. That's it.
Yeah, enough.
This is the line. It stops now.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's enough of that out there. And I think that's why you're seeing so many conservative governments being voted in around the world. I feel like the whole world's kind of getting it.
I agree. Yeah.
I feel like if that doesn't happen, we're in a lot of trouble. Yeah. Especially here in Canada.
I agree, man. One of the only things we have here, like, I've been talking with my wife a lot about this. Like, we want to end up homesteading, right?
Yeah.
Like, we want to buy a homestead, have it paid for in full.
Yeah.
Just live the homestead life. So we're not working a 9-to-5 gig that we hate and all this stuff. But it's like right now that's still an option here in Canada, and to hunt and all that stuff, you know. Yeah. Eventually, if that's not an option here, like that's really scary. Mm-hmm. But right now, like that's what I want to do. And it's a tough thing. We were talking about this the other day, saying I want to sort of shut off all the noise from the outside here, right? And it's like, well, there's two things, man. It's like, okay, we buy the homestead, we're living there. We say we shut off all the news. We don't listen to it. We get rid of our phones. We'd have like flip phones or something.
Yeah.
Then you're uninformed, okay? Because you're not watching anything.
Yeah.
But you watch the news, then you're misinformed.
Yeah.
So it's like there's no happy medium, and I'd almost rather be uninformed, unfortunately, at this point. And
yes.
But then you're not there to stand up if something crazy is going on in the government, right? But is it any help even? Like I want to vote, Nate. I'm strong for voting and stuff. Yeah. I don't want to say that it's all not like there's because it's a conspiracy, but it's like I'm not 100% sure that my vote's even going to that it's even legit, man. I'm not.
May as well just get right into this. Yeah. So, sorry everybody, we ran into a situation there where we used up every ounce of memory that we have on every memory card that we have available to us at this second. So, we probably missed a little bit more of that. We're gonna be I think this is going really well, and I think Donovan agrees with me. So we're gonna try to do these little sit downs quite often, the two of us.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, just kind of have these out as much as we can, and. Yeah, I think it worked great. We didn't hit nearly the amount of stuff we wanted to get to today.
Yeah, we flowed pretty good there. Didn't really have any breaks. He was constant.
Yeah,
so,
it was pretty constant. But yeah, no, it was good. And so right now we don't have much left from memory here. So we're gonna kind of each give our final thoughts on what we talked about today, and then we're gonna bid you adieu until we see you again. I just spoke French. That was weird. Didn't mean to. So basically, I'll let Donovan have a little time here to kind of say his final thoughts on what we've gone over, and then I'll kind of finish up mine, and we'll kind of end it right there because we've been here for hours already.
Yeah,
it hasn't felt like it. It's weird.
No, it just actually flew by.
Yeah, it just actually flew by. So that was really good. So if you want to go ahead.
I don't know. Tonight was pretty good night. Talked about quite a few things there. I think some of the takeaways that probably be important to everybody else is like, don't be scared of getting shamed for having different points of view. I think that the media is portraying it like there's a lot more people out there, that you're the minority if you don't think the way that the mainstream media is talking, and you have a lot of like-minded people out there that will have your back if you do stand up for yourselves, and I think that's what we all need to do. Also too, maybe put down the phone once in a while. Go for a little stroll out in the outdoors and take in some of the actual nature and what real life is supposed to be like. And don't just to unhook from the news and everything else too, because that could be a huge stressor in everybody's lives. They constantly want us to be living in fear and living scared and stuff. Go out and talk to some new people. Hear what they're actually saying face to face instead of hearing what the news is telling you how other people think. I think it's important to go out and have actual conversations with people and actually sit down and talk. You can just talk to people in passing, ask them some questions. I think that you're going to come out of it a better person, knowing more and stuff. Don't assume that just because the news said something that it's true, because pretty much the majority of the time it's not. Like if you have kids that are in school or going to school, make sure you guys are being, in the loop of what they're learning at school and what kind of beliefs that the teachers that are teaching your kids, what kind of stuff they're pushing on them too. Because I think a lot of the times we're kind of left in the dark as parents as to who's actually talking to our kids all day and what they're talking about. And I think that can be an important thing too. Just overall, I think it was a pretty good chat, Nate. And I'd like to come back. We'll do some more chatting later on, tell you some more hunting stories and stuff, and maybe get you into some archery there later on. Go fire some bows around.
That'd be great.
Yeah,
I'd love that.
That'd be sweet, man. I'd love to take you out and go do a little bit of hunting too.
Yeah, for sure. We're gonna have to do that.
Yeah, man. We'll get out and do some shooting at the archery range or something. Take some vids too. And when I get my channel up and running, I got a whole bunch of vids already that have been saved up and stuff. I just haven't pumped them out anywhere yet. So once I get my channel all up and running here, I'll have a few vids to post up there as well. And next time we do a podcast here with Nafi, I'll have a name all done dealed and have the channel up, and I'll have some vids up as well. So and then maybe I'll have Nate on my channel there afterwards too. We'll go do some hunting and show some of that side.
Nice.
Yeah,
sounds great.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
What did you think about it?
I thought it was great tonight. I I think that we covered a lot of really important topics, and I think that our society has been headed somewhere very bad for a couple of decades now, really. And I feel like we've slowly, if you put a dog on a chain, and every day you take away a piece of the chain, and you keep making that dog leash, that dog chain shorter and shorter, eventually that dog won't be able to move anymore and won't realize there's anything wrong with it.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's kind of where we've been at, but I think people are waking up and they're realizing that we're at a point where we need to make some changes in order for our society to not only just exist but to prosper. We need to make some definite changes in how we're doing things. And I think a lot of the problems are coming from a vocal minority, the squeaky wheel getting the grease. And I feel like a lot of the problems that we do have are very fixable through allowing masculinity back into our lives, allowing women to be feminine again. I mean, we expect women to be just, a lot of people expect women to just be strong and to be like a man, and that's not a woman's place. That's not what a woman was built for. We each have our places and things that we're built for and things that we're meant to do, and both of those things are divine almost. Those are things that make up the very essence of what we are. And I think that denying those is actually making us somewhat sick in the head.
I agree too, yeah. Yeah.
And I feel like if we allow masculinity in men and we allow feminism or feminine, I say feminism, but that's actually the wrong term. That's kind of the opposite. If we allow feminine actions from women, if we allow them to rejoice in their femininity, then we end up with a society that's much happier, and we end up with a society that's much more productive.
Yeah.
And I think also that we've lost, because of the loss of those things and because of how we've been pushed to argue with each other so much over certain things, we've lost our sense of community in this world.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that too.
And I think if we can get those things back, I don't think it's that much of a stretch. Like Donovan was saying, put the phone down. Get out in nature and get out and interact with your fellow human beings. We've really lost a lot of that, and I think we really, once we get that back, I think a lot of our problems will start to fall by the wayside.
And then we can actually start to have honest debates with each other, honest discussions, right?
Exactly.
So it's like, we'll realize that we're not that far apart in our beliefs, and there's definitely some middle ground that can be made up. So
I think if you look at us, even we've been pushed to believe that the left is way over here and they're horrible people, and the right is way over here and they're horrible people. And I think if you actually looked at it, people's core beliefs tend to be right here in the center.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think if people, they might have one or two things that they disagree on, but those things, they're fighting over them like it's life and death.
That's right.
And I think in all reality, we're really close to each other, a lot closer than we've been led to believe. And I think if we can just realize that and sit down and have those conversations and allow strength back in our society, I think we can really fix it up. And as far as it goes with the hunting, I wanted to say something on this as well. Is my final thought on that. I believe you were talking earlier about how some people will be like, oh, why don't you just go buy your meat in the store?
Yeah.
I believe at the end of the day, if you are eating meat and you are not okay with killing the animal that meat came from, you're kind of a hypocrite.
100%. Yeah, man. Definitely.
Right? And I think that at the end of the day, every once in a while, a man should eat something that he's killed.
Yeah. I think you should experience it, what it's like to take a life.
Yeah.
Too, so that you're not so disconnected from it all.
For sure.
People just go to the store and they buy the styrofoam meats and they say that's where it came. What do you mean? It was at the grocery store.
Yeah.
It's like, it was also a living animal at one point, guys.
Yeah.
You're so disassociated with it all.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's an important thing, man, to know where it comes from and be a little closer connection with your meat and
for sure
the food you're putting in your body.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree, man.
Yeah. So I think that's about all I've got on the subject for right now. How about you?
Awesome, yeah, man. No, it's been great. Well, I'll have another chat here in the next little while, and we'll have some more stories, and we'll have do some good chats.
Yeah, we're definitely going to do this again. We had a bunch of things we planned on talking about, and we never touched on any of them.
Yeah.
It was But I mean, it worked out really well. I was really happy with how this went out.
Yeah, man, me too.
So yeah, if
Good Man Initiative.
Thanks, Donovan.
Yeah, man.
And as soon as I get a name for his, I will put it up on all of my social medias, and we will we'll send you out to his stuff, let you see what he's doing. And if you feel like you want to help us out, I'm just gonna give my final little spiel here.
Oh yeah, buddy.
If you feel like you want to help us out, then feel free. And with Donovan stuff, when he gets it up, go on, give it a like, a follow, subscribe. Do anything you can to help out with the algorithm. That's how we get the stuff out here. That's how we build more masculinity and strength in the world. Is we put it out there so that people can see it. Because when you see something, you realize that it's okay to be that way. When you don't see it, when all you see is people showing fear, then you don't think it's okay to be that way. And we've really got to open it back up again. So if you like, subscribe, share, do all those things, then it really helps us get out there and be seen by more people, which will help build a better society in the end. And if you can do anything to get out there and help people along with that as well, then please do that. Let's all help each other out. It's not about stepping over each other. It should be about helping each other up. When your brother needs a hand, you should give him a hand. And we should do whatever we can to try to make this world a better place in the end. That's what we're here for. We're all in this together. Isn't a single one of us getting out of this alive, so we may as well try to make it as good as we can while we're here. If you want to help out financially, then please feel free to go over to Patreon. You can become a patron and give money to the cause. I don't expect you to do that if you can't afford it. I don't want to take money from anybody who needs it to feed their family. We all know it's tough out there, but if you can, then it'll be much appreciated. It'll help us put out better videos and more content and get the word out to more people. And in the end, that's what it's all about. I don't do this for me. I do this for you guys. I do it because I want to do my part. And we should all be out there trying to do our part to make this a better world.
Yeah, well said, man.
Thank you.
Yeah,
appreciate that.
Awesome, man.
All right, so if you got nothing else.
No, man, I'm good. You guys have a good night.
All right, I love you guys.
Take her easy.
I
was doing that on my videos the other day, and Otter was
Really?
like, I love the bucket book.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.